Security is expected to be tight at the Johannesburg Magistrates Court, where the case has drawn strong public interest and outrage. The state has already made its position clear. It will strongly oppose bail, pointing to the seriousness of the allegations and the vulnerability of the child victim. The accused have allegedly admitted to giving the child mandrakes, but toxicology results are still pending. The boy remains in the care of social workers who are closely monitoring his recovery. Mungi Zikoko, Eyewitness News.
The National Council of Provinces is set to meet with the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Clement Manyathela and other top brass today to discuss policing issues affecting the province. The NCOP's visit comes almost a month since Manyathela made bombshell allegations about alleged corruption in the country's police, judicial and political sectors. Manyathela accused Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and Crime Detection Commissioner Shadrack Sibia in having a hand in criminal networks and cover-ups. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
The NCOP delegation to KwaZulu-Natal says the main reason for its visit is to hear about the issues affecting policing and the work of law enforcement in the province. The engagement is expected to focus on identifying key areas of cooperation between Parliament and the subs in the province. These include legislative interventions required to improve policing and public safety, crime trends and police's response in the province. The NCOP says the spate of killings in the province is also on the agenda. Leader of the KZN delegation, Mzamo Bili.
And those include, among other things, the killing of police, the killing of suspects, the political killings, and many other issues affecting different stakeholders in the province.
The delegation says it will on Wednesday meet with Premier Thamsanqa Ntuli and the Executive Council. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
The Gauteng government says it's confident that the city of Johannesburg will host a successful G20 Leaders Summit later this year as the troubled metro prepares for the massive meeting of global leaders. The comments come after the DA in Joburg again raised concerns about the city's lack of preparedness. Heads of state and diplomats from across the world are expected to attend the summit, with Johannesburg earmarked as the host city. Premier Panyaza Lesufi released a statement of readiness yesterday.
Those that are in Johannesburg, they will tell you. I mean, the M2 between Midrand and Sandton, it was a dark city, the main road. The lights are there. If you come from OR Tambo, R24, the lights are back. If you check the grass cutting, with almost 70%. My only limitation, and I've emphasized it to the mayors, I don't want to do this thing for G20. I'm doing it for the citizens of Gauteng. It's just that we are hosting this important activity. We must go beyond the G20 itself and sustain.
And New Zealand's former Deputy Police Commissioner has lost the right of anonymity after he was charged with possessing child sexual exploitation and bestiality material. Javen McScheming was arrested in June, but the courts had prevented media from reporting his name or other details of the case. Appearing in Wellington District Court today, McScheming opted not to seek an extension of the suppression order. The 52-year-old was suspended from his job on full pay in December last year when an investigation into his conduct was launched. Gold is trading at $3,360.96 an ounce. The rand is at 18.04 to the dollar, 23.96 to the pound, 20.89 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $69.44 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M1 South. This is between Marlborough Drive and Corlett Drive. There's also queuing traffic in Sunning Hill. This is along the N1 North, approaching the Baku interchange.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 22 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the case against a Johannesburg mother accused of forcing her 4-year-old son to smoke drugs returns to court this morning.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
What are the matters that matter to you?
702 listens.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, happy Monday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela show. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining us here on 702 as we enter a brand new week. Hello to all of you that are watching us on YouTube from all over the world. We are on the 702 YouTube page if you would like to watch and listen to us at the same time. Have you had your coffee so far? I'm already having my chai latte here because that's how I have to start my day. How do you start your day, actually? Does your day really start without you having coffee? And how does it look like if you've started it without having coffee? Because I find I'm not a big coffee drinker. I do drink it, but I do need like a very hot beverage. I do need like a hot beverage before I start the show, before I really start the show at some point. How do you work around that? If you're on YouTube, if you want to join us there on YouTube, you just Google 702 YouTube page and it'll take you straight there and you can watch and listen to the show at the same time. A lot of you have been asking actually, hey, why are you guys looking so different today? Because we are all sort of dressed up a little bit. Bongani, you might have seen on YouTube if you were watching. He's very dressed up. I just have a suit and a white t-shirt, really. That's how as basic as I am. But that's because we've got a thing that we have to do today after work. Did you watch the Hungarian Grand Prix yesterday? My goodness. Brilliant race, I thought. Brilliant performance by McLaren. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri gave us a show. There are now 9 points that separate them. Oscar still in the lead in the driver standings. The less said about Ferrari, the better. Honestly, Charles Leclerc dealt with unexplained mechanical problems which were so frustrated. Lewis Hamilton was... Guys, actually, just listen to what Lewis Hamilton said after qualifying.
So what happened in quali?
I'm just useless.
So say again?
I'm just useless.
But that isn't obviously the
It
case.
clearly
You're
is.
not. What?
Yeah, it's what it is. Just drove terribly. It is what it is.
Do you just not feel comfortable in the car in that part of quali? Did something change?
Nothing changed.
Right.
So he says there, I'm just useless. I just drove terribly. And the reporter's trying to ask, is it because of the car? Were you not comfortable? He's like, there's nothing wrong with the car. I am just useless. Is he lying? He drove terribly in qualifying. And as a Lewis Hamilton fan, we need to stop making excuses for him. And I'm still a big fan of him. I still support him. He's still my favorite driver. But that doesn't mean that I can't still be frustrated with him. And I just find that as fans of Lewis Hamilton, we make a lot of excuses for him. Nothing has changed. Even he says that. It's not the car. It's still the same car. So where is his focus? He made a comment this weekend that maybe Ferrari just needs to change the driver. In fact, listen to the longer version of that clip I played you where he references this point that maybe Ferrari needs to change a driver.
Oh, it's me every time.
So you've been upset by it before, frustrated by it before, is that what it is?
It's what?
Is it your qualifying, your Saturdays, or...?
Yeah, I'm useless. Absolutely useless.
Any answers anywhere? I mean, this car, they're trying to get this car in a better position for you.
The team has no problem. You've seen the cars on pole, so they probably need to change driver.
You hear that at the end? The car is not the problem. I probably think they need to change a driver. And I've said this before, and even last year I said it. Lewis Hamilton has been distracted for a while now. He's doing too many things. I don't feel like he's focused on the race. And I'm not saying he must not take part in the Met Gala and be a fashion icon and all of that. Sure. But your focus must 100% be on the race, especially if you're trying to get your 8th championship and bow out. You give it your all. And as a Lewis Hamilton's biggest fan, I'm frustrated. At Mercedes, we blamed the car. When he joined Ferrari, we said, he still needs to settle in this car. But come on, guys, come on. So I'm going to ask the question again, the same one I asked, which I got attacked for last year. Is it time for Lewis Hamilton to retire? Because I worry that as a fan, he's going to retire when he's at his lowest in performance. Nobody wants that. He doesn't want that. What should Ferrari do? Get another driver, as Lewis suggests? Or do you think we must be more patient with him? 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. You may have seen the National Treasury has threatened to stop grant funding to the Johannesburg municipality if it doesn't get its finances in order. The finance minister has written to Dada Morero, who's the mayor of Johannesburg, saying he needs to do more to curb the city's wasteful, irregular and unauthorized expenditure because these issues end up affecting service delivery, right? And that's the same service delivery that the Johannesburg mayor says he rates it 8 out of 10. I asked the mayor when he was here last week how he ranks service delivery in the city out of 10. Can you believe that this is how he ranked it? 8 out of 10? So in terms of the implementation of the services or the services that you provide, when you do an assessment, how are we doing there? I mean, is it 5 out of 10? Is it 3 out of 10? What's your assessment based on the services that you've been able to provide so far?
Well, in terms of the high impact service delivery program, we can say that currently, if you look at Ward 90, where we're doing all the potholes, resurfacing, we're probably at about 8 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
What would be outstanding at the moment is addressing street lights, which is what we want to do now, but the roads we have done. We have not finished all of them, but work has been done in that area. Similarly, in Soweto, where we come from, the biggest thing that we have established, it's a sewer. So what has happened over the years, the infrastructure that was deployed in Soweto can no longer carry, does no longer have the capacity to carry the developments that has happened in Soweto. So the sewer pipes cannot carry. So we're experiencing a huge problem, especially in Ward 34, where I was. And we have therefore commissioned Joburg Water to look into the sewer challenges in not just in Ward 34, but in the entire Soweto. But they've already started with the work in Ward 34, and they're indicating that they should be able to complete the work just around February, because it requires almost changing the entire system, because the pipes there are smaller, because that area was a smaller area. Now it has increased. So they have to then increase the capacity of the pipes, because we are battling that. So give or take 8 to 10,
and that's
6
across
to 10.
That's across the city.
Across the city, yes.
So across the city, 8 out of 10. Really? How do you rate the city in terms of service delivery? And try to be more fairer than you would ordinarily be. Like, be more generous. And I want to see if even with that generosity, you would get to that 8 out of 10 of service delivery. At 10 o'clock, we're going to hear from the Trade and Industry Minister, Paksta, about the 30% US tariffs that have kicked in. He'll be briefing the media at 10. I want us to take some of that briefing live. As I've said to you last week, we focused a lot on the US tariffs because there is going to be devastation. We need to protect our economy. We need to mitigate the impact on industries that export to the U.S. The U.S. is our second largest market trading partner by country, and these measures will have a considerable impact on industries that rely heavily on exports. So exports to that country, and it's going to have an impact on the workers that those industries employ, as well as our fiscus. So we need to scale up our trade missions into new markets in Africa and beyond. But we need to also come up with measures to cushion the industries that are likely to be most affected. So that's a conversation at 10 o'clock. At 10:30, we're going to continue with our series that looks at successful land restitution cases. Today, we will be highlighting the case of the KwaGumbi community. They had a successful land reform case. This is a community situated at the heart of Zululand. They are now the proud owners of a 12,000 hectare Somkanda Private Game Reserve. So they'll talk to us about that at 10:30. And then we're going to wrap up the show at 11 o'clock with our Family Matters feature. Today we're doing part 2 of our conversation about the mama's boy phenomena and an over-dependent relationship between mother and son. Are you a mama's boy? Are you dating someone who is or was a mama's boy? How did that affect your relationship? We have to be honest. This term doesn't only refer to someone who has a close relationship with their mothers. Sometimes it can refer to an unhealthy, over-dependent relationship where mommy gets angry when boy marries somebody mommy doesn't like, or boy constantly calls mommy for furniture ideas, even when boy is married. But mommy must have a say somehow how the trust me, these stories exist. When we did part 1 of this conversation, we got calls from people who said that. They can't buy anything until mama approves. But you are an adult. You're married with children. You still want mama to tell you what color of a couch to buy? That's unhealthy. We're going to be talking about that at 11 o'clock. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
All right, I'm coming to your calls in a moment. Simpiwe and Bani, I'll start with you. So we've got the National People's Dialogue coming up on Wednesday. You may have had on air, you may have had imaging about that on air already, some ads about that. We're going to be doing the People's Dialogue ahead of the President's National Dialogue. And we've received, obviously, a lot of interest. There are people that have seen our posters on social media. Some of you have seen on the billboards as you drive around Johannesburg. You have heard on air as well. And there's interest around how to participate at this People's Dialogue. We want you to come through, as many as you can. I just want us to be a diverse crowd. Young people, older people, civil society, activists. You know, normally when we do these kind of town halls, we bring in the politicians, we bring in the experts. We just want to have a conversation as a people, a conversation as South Africans. What are our issues? How do we resolve those issues? How did we get here? Because I believe that we always have to reflect on that so that we don't repeat the same mistakes. So that's going to be part of the conversation. How do you take part? Well, it's going to be taking place on Wednesday between 9 and 12. It's going to be here at Prime Media House. If you want to come through and participate, you can send us an email on contact@702.co.za, right? Send an email, contact@702.co.za. Just tell us who you are, you want to participate, and then we're going to send you the details, the address, the time you need to be here, all of that. And when we're going to sit in a room, no politicians, just us having a conversation about our challenges. What are they? And how do we resolve them? That's going to be on Wednesday. So email on contact@702.co.za. Space is limited, so that's why we're trying to control the numbers. But the sooner you email us, the better.
Your voice,
your station,
your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Simpiwe, you're calling us from Sandton. What do you want to say about Lewis Hamilton? Hi.
Hi, Clement.
Sure.
Normally, you and I agree and see eye to eye.
Yeah, except when we talk about Lewis.
Yes, and right now I'm not happy about you.
I know.
Clement, there's too many things happening. So, for example, I know you are critical on Lewis at the moment, but then when you look at the whole thing holistically, there's something fundamentally wrong at Ferrari at the moment. The mere fact that Leclerc started at 1, finished at 4th, compared to every other driver who normally, basically at the Hungarian Grand Prix, everyone almost finishes where they started.
Yeah.
So there's something fundamentally wrong at Ferrari.
There were unexplained mechanical problems with Charles Leclerc's car. So it wasn't even strategy this time around.
They always say there's problems. There's always problems with the Ferrari car. That's my problem. There's always something wrong with Ferrari. If it's not strategy, if it's not the car, if it's not them doing something which they got then going to get disqualified, there's always something happening.
So what was wrong with Lewis's car yesterday? Because even Lewis says, my car was fine. Why then did he drive so terribly during qualifying?
He didn't drive terribly. He drove okay. And let me quantify it. You know what? So Lewis has only been at Ferrari for 8 months. 8 months. and he's only been driving this car for 8 months. So compared to Leclerc, obviously he's going to struggle. But when you compare Lewis to other drivers who have joined new teams, so for example, you look at the Red Bull team, the second drivers are always struggling. You look at Mercedes. Antonelli started well, but he still can't beat Russell because it takes time for you to get into the car.
But at least Antonelli started well. Did Lewis start well?
Yes, Lewis got one sprint race.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I remember the sprint race. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. I remember that. But if you compare him to Antonelli?
But then let me say this. If you compare when it comes to points in terms of championship, where is Lewis compared to Antonelli?
Yeah, he's further up.
And how far is Lewis from Leclerc? Lewis is closer to everyone against their teammates compared to all the other teams, except for McLaren. So he's not doing bad. He's not doing great.
Yeah, so at Leclerc is at 141 points now, and Lewis is at 109.
But again, Leclerc has been driving for that team for over 4 years.
Yeah, all right, Sipiwe, it's fine. Let me ask you this before you go. Do you have confidence that he's going to get it right? Because the season is almost gone. I was hoping that this is the season where Lewis gets that 8th championship and he bows out, because clearly he's got other plans he wants to do. That's why he's already engaged in too many things. And I've said this even last year, he's too distracted, bro. If you are here, like racing, like this kind of sport requires a lot of focus. You cannot do 1,000 things at the same time, especially because you want to win a championship. Do you think he still has it in him?
I do, and I want to just talk to the focus. First of all, Lewis doesn't have a girlfriend. He's always said that he wants to focus on Formula One, so he is focused. I do believe he still has it in him. I just believe that Ferrari needs to give him the right car. But history has also shown us that whenever there's regulation changes, whenever there's change to the car, which is going to be happening next year, Lewis comes out on top. So I'm hoping he does what he's done previously, because he's done that with McLaren, he's done that with Mercedes.
Yeah. All right, Simpiwe in Centum, thank you. Bani, you calling us from Brakpan. What do you think? Hi.
Hi, morning, Clement. Look, I'm not going to fundamentally disagree with you, but I'm also kind of in Simpiwe's corner. But without losing my points, I just want to make the following comments regarding Lewis. If you look at Niki Lauda, Senna, Mansell, Schumacher, Vettel, Lewis, Verstappen, the reason why I'm naming these people is if you've really been a long F1 follower and you watch all these documentaries, certain cars are designed according to the driving style of these drivers. I think and you can go into the Ferrari story. I believe that Ferrari, there's never ever going to be a driver that's going to be bigger than the brand, and they're always going to follow what the team principal instructs them how to do the setup of the car. And this is why I'm saying this. If you look at what happened with Vettel, I mean, Vettel was the best driver. Everybody thought he was going to get the Schumacher records. And then he left Red Bull and then he went to Ferrari, and then same story, same frustration. This is the driver that was on track to win 5, 6 titles, consecutively. And then he made the same mistake as Lewis. Lewis, we can debate a bit because the car setups and engines changed. And Red Bull became so strong. And then this is the Red Bull point that I want to make. If you look at what happened at Red Bull, every single driver, what are their names? The Australian, Daniel Ricciardo, Checo.
He's now out because he didn't perform.
But this is the point that I want to make, because the Red Bull car setup is set up according to Max Verstappen's driving style. And every single driver, go and watch the Drive to Survive or any documentary on Red Bull. All the other partner drivers struggle to drive that car because the car is set up for Verstappen. Hence the fallout between his father and Christian Horner. So the Lewis Hamilton story for me is you need to look at it in that context. I think he's frustrated. I take his comments on Saturday after qualifying as him being sarcastic because because he's not winning that battle inside the Ferrari garage where, if you look at Lewis and what him and Niki Lauda achieved at Mercedes, for example, he would go back every night after qualifying or whatever, because as the listeners know, you change your car setup according to every track. So the car that you drive today versus the car that you're going to drive next week is not the same.
Yeah.
And him, whenever, whether it was Rosberg or his last partner, if they beat him in qualifying, but then they go and not necessarily change the car setup, but there's things that they tweak, and then it's a different car altogether for him during the race.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, Bunny, I hear that. And look, I know some of you are saying even on WhatsApp, hi Clement, no, you're being too hard on Hamilton. Please just know that he's going to find himself. No, you can't compare Hamilton to Antonelli. Antonelli has not scored for 3 consecutive races. Come on, you're too hard on Lewis. I am hard on him because I love him. I'm hard on him because I'm a big fan of Lewis Hamilton. And this doesn't mean I love him less or I'm about to, somehow move myself off the list of his fans. Not at all. I'm just saying, can we also be objective even as Lewis Hamilton's fans? At what point are we going to stop making excuses for him? At what point are we going to actually say, Lewis, you're not focused here, or you're not performing? And I just think he's not performing. I just think he's not too focused. And I think it's because he's doing too many things. And I could be wrong. I hope that he is going to somehow recover and win the 8th championship, because it's what I hope for. It's what I pray for. But my goodness, he's left us so frustrated. I can only imagine how he feels.
Good morning, Clement and 702 Land. It's a Monday. Happy Monday, happy new week to everyone. Man, I used to be a coffee addict, if there's anything like that. If I don't have coffee in the morning, I would have terrible headaches, and when I have the coffee, the headaches would go. And I used to have like 4 big mugs of coffee a day.
Morning, Clement and everyone. Well, I don't start my day with coffee or anything high in caffeine because of heart palpitations. I really like coffee, but because of heart palpitations, I had to stop drinking coffee. So I sometimes, not always, just have rooibos tea. Jonathan Pretoria.
Okay, rooibos tea. 8 cups of coffee a day. My goodness, how does your heart handle that? It is so hectic. Yeah. I was saying earlier on that I'm already having my chai latte, which is my favorite hot beverage. I struggle to start a day properly without a hot beverage. I'm not a big coffee person, but I have to have a chai latte or coffee sometimes if I don't have much options. Michael on the YouTube page says, hi Clement, it's my first time on YouTube channel. Great to see all of you. And Lewis must retire while still near the top. And then, a lot of you there on YouTube also talking about how we look today as 702 presenters. Yes, guys, we've got a thing to go. Look at even Amu Ramela, how she's dressed today. Hey? All of us, it's like we spoke that tomorrow we're going to come looking banging. It's 9:31. Time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Feel so high.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Almost 500 illegal miners brought to the surface from an abandoned mine in Barberton in Mpumalanga are expected to appear in court today. The group faces charges of contravening the Immigration Act and trespassing, while others are facing charges of possession of gold-bearing material. Their arrest follows an intense operation by law enforcement and mine security as part of Operation Vala Umkoti in the province. The National Council of Provinces is set to meet with the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Clement Manyathela and other top brass today to discuss policing issues affecting the province. The NCOP's visit also comes a month, or almost a month at least, since Mkhwanazi made bombshell allegations about alleged corruption in the country's police, judicial and political sectors. And Donald Trump has confirmed his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, will visit Russia in the coming week ahead of a deadline that the US president has set for imposing fresh sanctions on Moscow. Trump says the 2 nuclear submarines he deployed following an online online ruckus with former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev were now in the region. And those are the headlines this EWN, and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you. Amu, how are the cars moving on the roads?
Well, we've got some delays, Clement, on the N1 North between Rivonia Road and the Baku interchange while travelling. On the M1 South in the Bramley area, an accident reported right near the Corlett Drive exit. Delays coming out of Greyston Drive while travelling in Parktown Empire Road. Another accident reported there. This one is right near the M1, also causing delays on this bumper-to-bumper traffic still on the M1 North between Boysons and Carr Street, as well as on the M1 South between Carr Street and the double-decker section. If you're traveling in Kempton Park, please be on the lookout for some issues reported on the R21 North right after Atlas Road. Do drive with care. We'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
8 out of 10 radio listeners suffer from CAR, or car advertising on repeat. Symptoms include fatigue, anxiety, and confusion. With so many car ads coming at you on your daily commute, buying or selling a car can feel overwhelming. But there is a cure.
Cars.co.za. Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to cars.co.za and let's find what moves you. Cars.co.za.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
I imagine the conditions have not changed since our last conversation. Once we see the rollout of the ARTO administrative system, the demerit point system will come into play, correct?
Yes, that is correct, Africa, but the points demerit system is coming in at slightly later, the phased implementation of ARTO, starting from this December, where we're having the 69 municipalities coming on board as well as Metro.
Modem Kalipi, a spokesperson for the Road Traffic Infringement Agency.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
As a business owner, would you rather deal with stacks of slips at the end of each day or have recons done instantly? Introducing Yoko Counter, the new all-in-one payments and points of sale system that removes the guesswork, the paperwork, and the time drain. Taking your business from chaos to control, guesswork to clarity, giving you back time to focus on what truly matters. Visit yoko.com today to find out more about the simple yet powerful out-of-the-box solution with free built-in point-of-sale software.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age, or now also in a no-water-needed, fruity-flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and flemmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
You work hard, you save what you can, but will it be enough for your retirement? Well, for most South Africans, the answer is no. This Thursday on 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, Old Mutual Corporate brings you a powerful conversation inspired by their upcoming Thought Leaders Forum, tackling the retirement crisis and the urgent need for collaborative leadership. We'll discuss how business and policymakers can join forces to change the country's retirement future. Don't miss this insightful conversation on Thursday, the 7th of August, brought to you by Old Mutual Corporate on 702.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
24 minutes before 10 o'clock. Your calls on 011 883 0702. I've been asking you about your rating of the service delivery here in Johannesburg. The Johannesburg mayor, as I played you that clip earlier, when he was on this show last week, he said he gives himself 8 out of 10 in terms of service delivery. How do you rate the city of Johannesburg? I've also been asking you about Lewis Hamilton. Is it time for this chap to bow out, or must he stay the course and he will find himself at some point?
Hi, Clement. It's now really getting upsetting having to listen to Lewis say all those things. I mean, now you start wondering, why did Ferrari take him if they knew that they don't have a car for him? They clearly don't have a car. I mean, if they did, Charles would have won yesterday's race. So clearly there are issues in Ferrari that neither of the drivers can resolve. It's no longer about the car. I don't think so. Because, I mean, there should be some improvements, and considering that they're no longer doing any upgrades on the car for the year, we are really not going to be seeing the best races from Ferrari this year. Gosh, I'm so disappointed. And I hope really Lewis goes and find a sports therapist to help him. Yeah, this is bad.
Morning, Clement and the listeners. This is Jabu Chilwani in Hazelview. My honest opinion about Lewis Hamilton is that he is done. He is old. He needs to hang his gloves. That's all I'm going to say. The guy is old. Ferrari need a new driver to partner with Leclerc. Thank you so much.
Clement, morning. Peggy here from Pretoria North. I'm also very, very frustrated with Lewis Hamilton as a fan. I think he's too distracted. He's got a lot going on, but I doubt that he wants to retire at his lowest. I think they might be sabotaging him. That's the feeling I have, because he says there's a lot going on in the background. He tried to meet with his engineers to implement some of the things that he proposed, and those things were not implemented. So I doubt that he would want to retire now. It's good that they have a summer break now. Then he can relax a bit. But yeah, he has just too many things going on with himself. So we're waiting for the 8th of the 8th, because he gave us the hint to follow the smoke. So let's follow the smoke and see where it goes. Ciao, have a good day, Clement. Bye.
But is he going to rest even during the summer break? That's my worry, is when it's time to rest, he's now like busy. Huh? New York Fashion Week. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he must not attend these things. I'm not saying he must not be part of the Met Gala committee. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying at some point, know what to say no to so that you are not distracted, so that you're still focused. Because we want the best for him. We want him to win. But I'm just frustrated. And I think as biggest fans of him, we are beginning to make excuses for everything. So why did Ferrari get him when they didn't have a car? So we're not asking the questions around him. So everything else we blame everybody else but him. When does he take accountability for his performance or lack thereof? It's 20 minutes before 10.
Voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
8 out of 10. That's the ranking for service delivery in the city of Johannesburg, according to the mayor of Johannesburg. What do you think? Stephen in Centurion, hi. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Clement. How are you, sir?
Sharp, man. Go ahead.
Clement, I think the ANC they defeat the whole purpose of rebuilding the ANC. You know, appointing such a character, if I was ANC as general secretary or anyone in the leadership, I would have fired this guy the first time when he took office. Remember, after taking office, the first thing that he said when he opened his mouth, he said you will hire the foreign nationals. That is the time that he would have been fired, this guy. Really. Now, he appointed or created something called Bomb Squad. He does have executives to do the work. This guy doesn't know what is going on, doesn't have a clue. You can even see him when he walks, that this guy doesn't know he's lost. So, the ANC, if you say you're rebuilding ANC, but you're still imposing such characters on us, what do you expect? What do you expect? They are not serious, this guy.
Stephen in Centurion, thank you for your thoughts. They're not serious.
Morning, Clement. I live in Roodepoort and I work in Soweto. And honestly, I would give the city a 4 out of 10. Where I live in Ward 70, the roads are full of potholes. I've been reporting these potholes since January. And in fact, even before that. multiple times. Nothing's been done. In Soweto, there's 2 sites on a road called Ben Nodia, going towards Krisani Baragwanath Hospital and the hostel. That place is a dump site, and the dump site is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The people don't care because when the city cleans it up, they just come and dump again. But there's also water overflowing all over the show. Again, potholes all over. So no, this is, whoever your guest is living in some sort of delusional gaga land where he's the hero, and that's not the case.
What is there to rate, Clement, when it comes to service delivery in Joburg? Nothing, zero, especially all the government institutions, from Home Affairs, clinics, hospital. It's better now that Operation Tudula is working anyway. You find the clinics, now there are no queues. Other than that, there's nothing to rate in Johannesburg. Services, dollar. Thanks to Operation Tudula, though, when it comes to healthcare. Case in Kakhis.
Good morning, Clement and team. I'm from Rehapakia. I think the reason why the mayor says service delivery is 8 out of 10, because when you put your question to him, you ask him if it's 3 out of 10 or 5 out of 10. So you just make simple math and say 5 plus 3, it's 8. Let me tell Clement it's 8 out of 10. Thank you.
You're so funny. On the WhatsApp line, who's this? PR says, Clement, I'm on my second cup of my cappuccino. I will have 1 or 2 more before 6 p.m. Oh my God. Perhaps you can share tips on how to quit and overcome caffeine addiction. Would appreciate that. Can someone please help PR here? Who says, so I imagine PR wants to quit the caffeine addiction. So I'm not really addicted. Even the reason I stopped I haven't stopped coffee, but the reason I don't like coffee that much is because I just find it boring. In fact, I enjoy a chai latte, maybe because I've got a sweet tooth. And I say this because Africa Melani actually sent me a message earlier and says, you're having a chai latte that is sweet and flavored milk. But then, as I've said, I have a sweet tooth. So that's why. And coffee for me, it's just bland on my palate. So I don't like it. But anybody out there who has overcome a caffeine addiction, please help PR out here. Maybe you can give some tips on how to go about doing that. Lulu, you're calling us from Northcliffe. What do you want to say about Lewis Hamilton? Hi.
Hi, Clement.
It's
Lewis Hamilton fans are like fans who believe in a religion with faith and never having seen Jesus or God. So really, before people start talking too much, we need to literally just sit down and just sit and wait. He's got 7 world championships. He's got records people have never dreamt there'd ever be records of. So honestly, he's hard on himself already. And I really like his method to his madness, actually.
Yeah.
When it comes to his, him being able to live his life and do so many other things and win even on those things.
But he's not winning now, Lulu. And I think before, he wasn't this busy. Before, he just got too busy last year.
No. He's preparing himself for when he does take a bow out of Formula One. So before people start talking, think first before you say anything. It's the 7 world championships and all of those records first.
Yes.
I think you guys are too hard on him, honestly.
Yeah.
I think we must just keep the faith because he's going to surprise everybody.
I
He
hope
gives us
so.
a lot of entertainment, a hell of a lot. I mean, look at last week in terms of his comeback of what he's done.
Yeah.
He
drove brilliantly last week. Yeah, he
There's
drove
so
well.
much else to talk about. Can we give all the other young
But we
rookies
still-
some little bit of attention?
We just need consistency, Lulu. Just consistency.
No, guys. He's 40 years old. He's 40. Just give him a bit of a break. He's already hard on himself.
Okay,
Give him
Lulu.
a bit of a break.
Yeah. Okay, Lulu. Lulu in Northcliffe says, give this man a break. Guys, I hope you know that it's so difficult for me to talk about Lewis like that. I really hope. I hope you understand how difficult it is for me as someone who adores him so much to be so frustrated. Like, there's no man that I wish well in sports than this chap. There isn't. But I also don't have blind loyalty. Like, I can still love you, but I can still criticize you, and I can still say, I'm a bit disappointed in this or that. And I made a lot of excuses for Lewis Hamilton last year when he was at Mercedes because they didn't have a fast car, which is true. But then I used to see that, hi man, George Russell is doing more with this car than Lewis Hamilton. What's going on? Yes, there's a car problem. They don't have a fast car at Mercedes, but why is George able to push? And I just feel like sometimes we end up making too many excuses for the people that we love, which is natural. In this case, I hear you, Lulu, but my goodness, we need this guy to perform. He is the best driver in the world. He's the GOAT, 7-time world champion. Can he remind us of the man that he is, please? It's 12 minutes before 10.
Welcome to Nando's Customer Care. How can I help you?
Finally, can I actually just speak to the manager? It's about the chicken. Why did you marinate it for 24 hours? 24 hours, 86,400 seconds to marinate. Why? Well, I mean, it is really tender, juicy, and that delicious Nando's peri-peri flavor just warms me up. And then you add any 3 sharing sides, and I guess, well, there is nothing like it. But that is my complaint. I can't complain.
Nando's, fire it up.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult day 3731. I'm really struggling to explain my parents to my therapist. Might send him to live with them so he can see for himself. What if he ends up in therapy too? Wait, what if they love him more than me?
Finally learning about mental health. Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's convenient and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Your voice, your station, your open line. Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela on 702.
11 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Hi, Clement. With regards to the Hamilton situation, I think that's just moonlighting. It's even grounds for him to be fired. He's really taken the morale of everyone to advantage, and no one will actually do their work if he's not going to perform while he's making money elsewhere. It really puts Ferrari at a reputational risk to say that you can easily just say you cannot do your job while you have contractual obligations.
Morning, Clement. Let's also mention Red Bull. This guy's built a car which can only be driven by Max and nobody else. They've changed their second driver, but the second driver is still not performing. Anyway, Kati, great show as always, listening from Livingstone in Zambia.
Dr. Manyathela, I think we need to reconsider Tabaor Lewis is involved in too many things. You know, that's been the complaint that a lot of people have been having about his career since the inception. When he was still at McLaren, there was always a complaint that he's unfocused, his attention is split. When he was winning championships with Mercedes, every year there was always this thing that Lewis doesn't seem to be focused, and he would come and win, you know. So I don't think that his extra murals are a distraction in any way. I think those are the things that also fuel him to become a champion so that he can be influential in the things that he's doing.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. Sputnik on WhatsApp says, Clement, I just love how frustrated you are around Lewis Hamilton. I am very frustrated. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see even with my gestures how frustrated I am. Let me read some of the comments that are coming through on YouTube. Taryn Lee says, Clement, oh, Lewis. I'm useless, he says. I love that guy, but guys, it may be time to retire now. I'm super frustrated with him, and I am his biggest fan. And then another one says, David says, Clement, this is David here watching all the way from Bram Fisher, looking ahead to this beautiful Monday. And then someone else says, hi, Clement. This is Mashoboto, says, Clement, I'm loving the show as always. I've become the smartest in my circle because of you, my brother. Oh, you forced me to question, think, and act. Thank you. Well, thank you, Mashoboto. That's nice of you to say on the YouTube page there. Hi, Clement. It's quite interesting to see you live. Beautiful studio, by the way. Yes, Muzi, on YouTube. I think we probably have the best studios in this country. Huh, Abel? Who else has the best? I mean, I've been to all of the radio stations, studios, local ones here in Joburg and in Cape Town and some in Durban. I don't think any of them come close to our studios. 702 YouTube page if you want to see what we are talking about. It's 8 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
Morning, Clement. Hi. That is the worst mayor we ever had, Clement. That man is the worst mayor. That is daddering. No, when they say a person is daddering, that person is daddering. Serious. Daddering on his job. Go and look at Joburg. Joburg, it's a mess, Clement. I'm sorry to say this, but it's a mess. It's a mess. There is water, there's sewage everywhere. Joburg is smelling. It's a mess, Clement. That man doesn't know what he's doing. It doesn't know. If NC they bring him back for next year, they must forget. Thank you, Clement.
Hey, Clement, good morning. 8 out of 10. That must be a joke of the year, really. I think it's more of -8 out of 10. All being equal, the city's shape is in shambles. So whoever came up with that rating, I don't think they must be trimming somewhere, hoping for someone to wake them up. It's laughable if you ask me. Cheers.
I, Clement, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. My goodness gracious me. The mind boggles. Seriously, the mind boggles. You know, the mayors, the deputy mayors, the premiers, the people that are forced upon us, the citizens of this country. We throw our hands up in the air. What else can we do? He comes around and says 8 out of 10 should be his scorecard. I'm surprised it wasn't 12 out of 10. I don't know what reality these people are living in, but it's an alternate reality.
Yeah.
Seriously, and I'm talking across the board. Damn.
Yeah, and the mayor was sitting across me last week, and I actually asked him 3 times, I think. I said, 8 out of 10. And he said, yeah. I said, okay, so you're saying 8 out of 10? Because I just couldn't believe it. In fact, I said to him, do you give yourself 3 out of 10 or 5 out of 10? He says 8 out of 10. And that's why that listener says the reason he got to 8, he just took the 5 I gave him and the 3 I gave him as options, combined them, and that gives you 8.
Hi, Clement, and all the listeners. Clement, look, I hear a lot of people saying Lewis is distracted and he's just having bad season. He's adapting to a totally new environment. The car is totally new. It's just an environment issue. Secondly, Lewis is putting in the extra work. He's making notes, taking them to the engineers to improve the car. So he is putting in a lot of work for Ferrari to improve. So it's just one of those, and he'll get better. And these ground effect rules have been bad on him. He has been struggling to adapt. So it's just one of those. Let's see next year. If he's terrible next year, then I don't know. But let's give the man a chance. He's putting in the work. Let's see.
Good morning, Clement. This is Selma from Roodepoort. You don't have to overcome a caffeine addiction. For all the people who drink a lot, and I suppose that must mean a lot of people in South Africa, apparently coffee has a protective action on one's liver, and it actually can help it to regenerate. I saw that on a special science feed that I subscribe to of various scientific topics, and it actually said that. It's been proven. So there you go. Forget about your addiction to coffee. Enjoy it. Have a lovely day. Bye.
But if the addiction is that bad, I mean, some people are taking 10 cups a day, guys. Is that fine? So maybe what we should do on our health and wellness feature on Tuesday is to have a chat about caffeine, like which amounts of caffeine are fine for us, and for those that are addicted, how do you what's bad, what's not, what's good, and how do you then deal with that addiction for some of you that are addicted? Maybe we'll do that just to help PR, that listener who sent us a message earlier saying they want to try and deal with their caffeine addiction. They're already on their 4th or 5th cup already, and it's only 9:57. Sure. I've also just remembered, by the way, because I've been having a chai latte, and I realized that this week I had actually pledged not to have sugar until Friday. I just remembered now that I just had sugar in the chai latte, but I'm going to keep on fighting. No more sugar from right now. It's 2 minutes before 10.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
Hi, this is Craig from Kempton Park. What an amazing experience, I must say, especially visiting, people behind the scenes. There's a lot of amazing people that we don't know about behind the scenes that's working very hard to serve you, the listener. Very, very impressed with everything that's going on. Fantastic studios, very professional setup, trendy, vibey. It epitomizes everything that this radio station does, and definitely it is the radio station for the people.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
Protect your business from the unexpected. Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for pharmacies, restaurants, beauty salons, convenience stores, and more. See why over 100,000 businesses across various industries trust Business Outsurance. With Business Outsurance, when you claim, your excess is a fixed amount, not a percentage of the claim. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed insurance FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Mr. Govender, congrats on the retirement. You just sold your car to We Buy Cars. Tell us about it.
Yes, it just gathered dust in the garage, so I exchanged it for cold hard cash. Now my wife and I can enjoy a stress-free retirement.
Retiring the car as you retire. Nice. So why We Buy Cars?
It was so quick. They came over to our house to do the evaluation, and we sold it the same day. Tops, man.
Okay, so now you got even more time on your hands, eh?
Exactly.
We Buy Cars. Geared for your next chapter. Geared for you.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Almost 500 illegal miners brought to the surface from an abandoned mine in Barberton in Mpumalanga are expected to appear in court today. The group is facing charges of contravening the Immigration Act and trespassing, while others are facing charges of possession of gold-bearing material. Their arrest follows an intense operation by law enforcement and mine security as part of Operation Vala Umgodi in the province. Mpumalanga Police spokesperson Mpono Nyanempe.
Members of the SAPS in the team that is working in collaboration with Home Affairs officials are currently busy purifying the number in terms of how many will be charged for what type of offense.
He says an operation is underway to retrieve more people underground.
The plans in terms of the others that went deep, our members from Vala Umgodi in collaboration with the mine security and also the Department of Minerals and Energy will regroup and also ensure that we communicate whatever action will be taken following this development.
The National Council of Provinces is set to meet with KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and other top brass today to discuss policing issues affecting the province. The NCOP's visit comes almost a month since Mkhwanazi made bombshell allegations about alleged corruption in the country's police, judicial and political sectors. Mkhwanazi has accused Minister Sinzo Mchunu and Crime Detection Commissioner Shadrack Sibia of having a hand in criminal networks and cover-ups. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
The NCOP delegation to KwaZulu-Natal says the main reason for its visit is to hear about the issues affecting policing and the work of law enforcement in the province. The engagement is expected to focus on identifying key areas of cooperation between Parliament and the subs in the province. These include legislative interventions required to improve policing and public safety, crime trends and police's response in the province. The NCOP says the spate of killings in the province is also on the agenda. Leader of the KZN delegation, Mzamo Bili.
And those include, among other things, the killing of police, the killing of suspects, the political killings, and many other issues affecting different stakeholders in the province.
The delegation says it will on Wednesday meet with Premier Thamsanqa Ntuli and the Executive Council. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
Bergview College in the Eastern Cape says it has amicably parted ways with Jaco Pieterse, a former principal accused of rape. Pieterse was at the center of the alleged rape case of a 7-year-old pupil, which shocked the nation this year. But the case was dropped by the NPA after it found no conclusive evidence that the child was ever assaulted. In a letter to parents, the chairperson of the school's board of trustees says Bergview College and Pieterse parted ways by mutual consent with effect from the 30th of June. Pieterse later laid defamation charges against ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula, EFF leader Julius Malema, and Eastern Cape MEC for Education Fundile Gadi for accusing him of rape. AfriForum's private prosecution unit represented Pieterse in the case. The unit's spokesperson, Barry Bateman.
Our current priority is to ensure the prosecution of those who falsely accused him of being a suspect in an alleged rape.
And Donald Trump has confirmed his special envoy Steve Witkoff will visit Russia in the coming week ahead of a deadline that the US president has set for imposing fresh sanctions on Moscow. Trump says that 2 nuclear submarines he deployed following an online ruckus with former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev were now in the region. Trump has not said whether he meant nuclear-powered or nuclear-armed submarines. He also did not elaborate on the exact deployment locations, which are kept secret by the U.S. military. This comes against the backdrop of a deadline set by Trump at the end of next week for Russia to take steps towards ending the Ukrainian war or face unspecified new sanctions. Gold is trading at $3,360.96 an ounce. The rand is at 18.04 to the dollar, 23.96 to the pound, 20.89 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $69.44 a barrel.
And in the traffic in Lombardy East, there's been an accident reported on the N3 North. It's right after Morafontein Road. It is causing delays while travelling towards Bedfordview. More delays on the N12 West between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 22 and 23. The top story in EWN this hour: almost 500 illegal miners brought to the surface from a mine in Barberton, Mpumalanga are expected to appear in court today.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. 702.
We're listening to you. You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Six minutes after 10 o'clock, Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Let's take you straight to, is that in Pretoria? Yes, this is in Pretoria, where the Minister of International Relations, Ronald Lamola, and the Minister of Trade and Industry, Pakistan, were briefing the media on the 30% US tariffs that have kicked in. What is our plan? How are we going to protect our economy? How are we going to protect the industries that are going to be most affected, especially the automotive sector, the agricultural sector, and all those thousands of jobs that are inevitably going to be lost? Let's go to Pretoria.
The 30% unilateral tariffs on foreign imports apply to various U.S. trading partners, which will be implemented from 1 minute past 12 a.m. on the 8th of August 2025. The executive order published by the United States clarifies that goods loaded onto a vessel at the port of loading and in transit on the final mode of transit before 1 minute past 12 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on the 8th of August 2025 and entered for consumption or withdrawn from warehouse for consumption before 1 minute past 12 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on October the 5th, 2025 shall not be subject to such additional duty and shall instead remain subject to the 10% tariffs. The U.S. is South Africa's third biggest trading partner, with the European Union and China being the first and second largest trading partners. The U.S. accounts for 7.5% of our global exports. Thus, we will continue to engage the U.S. with a view to conclude a deal that advances the interests of both countries. South Africa seeks to conclude deals that promote value addition and industrialization, rather than extractive relations that deprive the country of the ability to beneficiate our mineral wealth by mimicking extractive colonial-era trade relations. South Africa's minimal 0.25% share of total U.S. imports makes the 30% tariffs on our country are inscrutable, especially when these same tariffs have been applied indiscriminately to all U.S. trading partners globally. Moreover, South Africa poses no trade threats to the U.S. economy nor its national security. The calculation of U.S.-South Africa trade deficit ignores the substantial U.S. trade surplus in services, as well as the complementary nature of the bilateral trade and investment relations between the two countries. South African exports do not compete with U.S. producers and do not pose a threat to U.S. industry. On the contrary, our exports are crucial inputs that support America's own industrial base. Our agricultural exports are even counter-seasonal, meaning they fill gaps in the U.S. markets, not replace domestic products. South Africa isn't just a trading partner. We are a major investor in the U.S., with our companies sustaining American jobs. Similarly, over 600 U.S. companies in South Africa contribute to our industrial growth and create employment. Our goal is to preserve and grow this mutual beneficial relationship. Impact of the tariffs. The uncertainty of the new tariffs is already incorporated into economic projections. For example, various economists estimated that it may shave off 0.2% of South Africa's economic growth. The reduction in growth from the 30% tariffs depends on a number of factors, including our ability to find alternative markets. It should be noted, however, that 85% of South Africa's exports remain exempted from the tariffs. All applicable exemptions published in the previous U.S. executive order are said to remain in force, and these exemptions covers products such as copper, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, lumber articles, certain critical minerals, stainless steel scrap, and energy products. Importantly, due to South Africa not enjoying a counter exemption for Section 232 duties on steel and aluminium, South African companies have already adjusted to the Section 232 duties since 2018. However, the heightened policy uncertainty creates instability in trade and may have an impact on exports. The new tariff regime implemented by the United States is a significant departure from a low-tariff environment. This policy shift, which affects not only South Africa, but the entire world, has already led to higher tariffs than before, changing the landscape of global trade as we know it. Response measures. Continuation of negotiations with the U.S. South Africa is committed to a principled approach, and we will continue to use all available diplomatic channels to negotiate a mutual beneficial trade deal with the United States, one that respects our national interests while advancing our long-standing partnership. Such a deal will be pursued in a pragmatic manner that preserves regional integration and SACO common external tariffs, noting that SACO accounts for 9% of our global exports and must be preserved. The South African government is working with industry to consider aspects of the framework deal that can be modified in a manner that promotes predictability in trade. Implement an economic response package which includes the establishment of an export support desk, which will serve as a direct point of contact for companies affected by the US tariff hikes. The aim of this support measure is to support the diversification of export market for increased resilience and facilitate the entry into alternative markets for affected exporters. The desk will provide updates on developments and tailored advisory service to exporters on alternative destinations, guidance on market entry processes, insights into compliance requirements, and linkages to South African embassies and high commissions abroad. The contact details of the export support desk have been published on the DTIC website. B. Measures to assist companies to absorb the tariffs and facilitate long-term resilience and growth strategies to protect jobs and productive capacity in South Africa. The details of this being finalized and will be communicated shortly. C. Localization fund support stands ready to contribute to the national efforts to support South African companies impacted by the imposition of 30% import tariffs by the United States. In collaboration with the DTIC, IDC, and other agencies, the LSF will issue an open call from firms operating in affected value chains with the aim of providing targeted competitiveness and efficiency support. To build resilience, we are working on an export and competitive support program, which will include a working capital facility and plant and equipment facility to address short-term to medium-term needs across all industries. We are also working with the Department of Labor on measures to mitigate potential job losses using existing instruments within its entities. Block exemption for exporters. The diversification of markets that will be required following the introduction of additional tariffs on South African goods may require exporters to coordinate their activities in relation to developing joint infrastructure for exports, sharing of market information, and coordination of activities to achieve economies of scale and efficiencies that enable them to be competitive. These activities may contravene the provisions of the Competition Act. The Minister of Trade and Industry has followed consultations with the Competition Commission, introduced a block exemption of exporters to enable collaboration and coordination by competitors. The block exemption details the scope of application. A draft block exemption will be published by the end of the week so that processes can be concluded expeditiously. Diversification of markets. We have been strengthening the trade investment partnerships with various trade partners. These efforts are bearing fruits, targeting markets across Africa, as well as in Asia, Europe, Middle East, and Americas. Our announcement on the Clean Trade Investment Partnership with the European Union in March has unlocked a 90 billion investment package that has been initially committed. This Clean Trade Investment Partnership also aims to unlock new markets access opportunities for South Africa, including the export of sustainable aviation fuel by Sasol and the export of hybrids and electric vehicles. While facing global trade challenges, South Africa is proactively building a more resilient agricultural sector. We've made significant progress in opening up vast new markets like in China and in Thailand, securing vital protocols for products like citrus and others. With China alone being a 200 billion market, we are confidently expanding our reach and creating new opportunities for our agricultural products. Our government has not been idle. We are proactively and collaboratively diversifying our trade portfolio. Under the coordinated leadership of the Presidency, DERCO, and the DTIC, we are making significant inroads into new high-growth markets across Asia and the Middle East, including the UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. These efforts are not only opening doors to new opportunities, but also reinforcing our commitment to retaining the vital markets we already have. South Africa's economic future is resilient, and we are working tirelessly to secure it. We have also developed a number of trade and investment packages with a number of countries, including Japan, that aim to unlock new markets access opportunities. You will be aware also that next week there is also a TICAD forum in Japan. While the current measures present challenges, it also presents opportunities to build and accelerate the implementation of the AFCTA and to develop new partnerships in markets that have remained untapped, including Asian and Turkey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Lamula. Good morning again, colleagues. My name is Kamil, as been previously introduced. I'll be facilitating the Q&A session. We'll take a round of 5 hands first. If you could please indicate your name and the news agency that you represent or the media house that you represent before you start your question. Okay, let's just take it this way. Number 1, 2, 3.
All right, so that is
4.
the briefing taking place in Pretoria. They're about to take questions now from the media. I was hoping that we'll hear from the Trade and Industry Minister, Pakstow. It looks like they wanted the International Relations Minister to lead this conference. So what we'll do is when the Minister of Trade and Industry gets on the podium, I'll take you back to that briefing. But so far, what the Minister of International Relations has said is that, number one, they have already sort of accounted for the uncertainties that come with this decision that the U.S. has taken with the 30% U.S. Tariffs. So he says that this uncertainty and the 30% tariffs are going to shave off about 0.2% of South Africa's economic growth. So we have to revise our projections. But he says that South Africa will continue to negotiate for a beneficial deal. He says the focus right now will be on the diversification of markets. So they want to target markets in Asia, Middle East, even here on the African continent. They want to look at diversifying their trade portfolio. So it's going to be important for South Africa to already, for instance, take advantage of the Intercontinental Free Trade Agreement. They have to look within the BRICS bloc, but also finding new markets is going to be part of the focus. And as I've said, even last week, Friday, that's not just going to be easy, right? The conversation about new markets implies we have businesses out there and markets that are lined up elsewhere that, that we can readily pivot towards. But you have to consider costs of access. You have to consider the consumer buying power of those alternative markets. So it's gonna get rough for sectors like agriculture and automotive. And that's why I said on Friday, let's buckle up. And I hope that it won't be as bad as it looks like it will be. But will it not be as bad as it looks like it would be? I mean, the Citrus Association was warning of job losses. The Reserve Bank governor says we're likely to lose about 100,000 jobs. Now you've got Gendermark Automation's 500 workers plus 3,000 supplier employees being at risk as the company questions sustainability. I saw that City Press was reporting that a single factory in Gqeberha, this is in the Eastern Cape, which builds, highly sophisticated machinery and software for the automotive industry, has lost contracts worth about 750 million rand due to the US's new import tariff. So on the line, we've got Siegfried Lokoch, who is the operations director at, is it Gendermark, an automotive company in the Eastern Cape. Siegfried, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Hello, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. So from what I've just referenced there, the City Press was saying that as a company, you are you have already lost contracts worth about 750 million rand due to these tariffs that have come into effect. Just give us some context around that. How bad are these tariffs for you as a company, and how much losses are you looking at?
Okay, so I think I just want to clarify. We haven't lost them yet. They were being negotiated and are in the final stages of completion. So we had priced them at 750 million. So I quoted my customers 750 million, and we felt pretty comfortable that we were going to get the orders. Unfortunately, as of 1st of April, as of Friday, that 750 million is now about 150 million more that we have to add on for the customer. So, I mean, if you were looking to buy something for 100 and all of a sudden, 2 days later, your supplier comes back and says, listen, it was no longer 100, it's 130, you're going to think twice about buying it, right, Clement? So I don't know how my customers are going to react. I'm going to assume that it's going to be negative and that they would probably give that business to my competition in the US. So I'm just bracing for that. So the impact, worst case scenario, is the 750 million rands worth of potential revenue that would have flowed into South Africa, foreign direct investment, is gone. And me as a business would lose that revenue, as well as our employees and my supply chain down the line.
Yeah. Look, Siege Fried, I want to just pause you there. Pakster, who I see, is now on the podium, the Trade and Industry Minister. So let's take you back to Pretoria, and then I'll come back and finish off this conversation with Siege Fried.
And we said this last week. We engaged with the US government that committed and said, look, we need you to wait a little bit. And this was in Angola almost a month ago. Wait a bit, we'll send you a template that's applicable to countries in sub-Saharan Africa. And then you can start the negotiations from there. And this is notwithstanding that we had given our draft framework deal or our proposed framework deal to the US. And we waited for the template. We followed up and we got to a point where there was an agreement, in fact, that South Africa please sign a confidentiality agreement, which confidentiality agreement would unlock the discussions. We signed the confidentiality agreement. We did not get a signed confidentiality agreement on the other side. We then went back and said, almost on the eve of the tariff announcements, said, look, we've been waiting for the template, we've been waiting for the confidentiality agreement. What do we do now? We are 2 days before the announcement. Well, what do we do now? And the feedback is, look, you know what, at this point, let's look at the template as a red herring at this point. Please give us an offer and we will respond. And no, that offer should not be a negotiating offer. It should be an offer of what South Africa offers and not what South Africa would want to negotiate in return. Give us what you're offering us and we'll come back to you. Now, it's a very difficult negotiating platform to enter into when you are in that situation, because you are going to give an offer which we have indicated certainly it's an offer that we're working on together with various industry sectors and departments to finalize. But that doesn't mean it doesn't come at a cost. Any offer you make, especially because you're not going to get a counter offer, you have to realize that actually there's a price you're going to pay for that offer. And we've been working on that, as I said, with industry and saying, okay, what can this industry offer? What can you accommodate? What can you do? But even when you're in that situation, part of your reality is that you actually don't know what tariff you're going to get even after making that offer. So we can only make an offer and sit and wait and hope. That's part of the reality. And we are negotiating, understanding that very reality. But we have to negotiate in the interest of the country, considering the importance of the United States in the global trading environment and as an important international role player. So we have to work within the framework in which all other countries are operating, but understanding that reality. So I thought it's important to elaborate on that, because when you start looking for who to blame, you're going to start thinking, if that one stops singing the song, well, we're going to get a 1% reduction. Because that's the sort of direction that you take when you start looking for the blame game. If these ones did not get onto a flight and go and say this would have meant a 5% reduction, that's all speculative. And that's why I spent a bit of time explaining the negotiating environment we're in, just to indicate that it is a complex negotiating environment that in many instances are actually unprecedented. It's unprecedented to enter into trade negotiations on the basis of the situation we're currently in, and we're going to have to navigate that. But I think I can speak on behalf of all of us to say, at this point, we are focused on the task and not focused on who to blame. We'll leave that to others. Should we shift to China and open the floodgates? It is not as simple as opening up floodgates. Of course, there have been a few developments with regards to China in particular, because that was your question. And those include the fact that China made an announcement at FOCAC this year that, in fact, we will reduce to 0% for all African countries but one. And we took the opportunity to engage with the Chinese to say, what does this mean? How do we actually implement it? And this is a few weeks ago. They said, well, you need to sign an agreement. So there's a China-Africa Economic Partnership Agreement. You either sign the China-Africa Economic Partnership Agreement or some form of free trade agreement so that you are able to unlock this. Now we have to, and we're currently sitting down with all the colleagues to say, if you enter into a negotiation, you have to understand that when you enter into a free trade agreement, you must accept product from them and take product to them. What product are you talking about, and what does the agreement entail? Because if you simply open, you don't know what you're opening yourself up to. So you have to work with the understanding that, in fact, it is not just about, I now sign the CAEP or the China-Africa Economic Partnership Agreement and the doors are open, because you have to think about how you safeguard your own markets, which industries would be impacted, and there's a bit of detailed work to be done, but those negotiations are ongoing, and we're currently modeling the sort of offer that we would be able to give.
So that's the Minister of Trade and Industry. He says that, well, we've made an offer and all we can do is now sit and hope for a response, but they are looking at free trade agreements. But as you say, it's more complex than just that. Like, you have to know which products do we accept from them and which products are they going to take from us. Let's just wrap up that conversation with Sig, who is the operations director at GenderMark. This is a company that's looking at losing about 750 million rand due to the US's new import tariffs. That's a possibility at this stage. And Sig, I just wanted to check, as a company though, how do you plan on responding? Are we likely to see inevitable job losses? Do you think that this help that government says it will provide to you as the most affected industries will assist you in some way to avoid especially the impact on job losses?
Until I see it in writing and I see what they're proposing, I will only be able to tell you then. I don't think our government's got, as you know, we're already under pressure, macro or government financially. We don't have money in the budget, so I don't know where they're going to find the money. From our side, look, there won't be immediate job losses in our business because we have a strong balance sheet and we have the ability to shift some of the stuff to, get clients, we've been working on other markets. My biggest priority is to make sure that I do not lose any of my staff and that we don't lay off any staff. I'm more worried about my supply chain because, we also have a big supply chain of people that supply us, of smaller companies, anything from 1 person to 25 people that rely on us from a day-to-day basis for their living. And that's where I think you're going to see the job losses.
Yeah.
Because, if they're not getting business from us on a consistent basis, they don't have the ability to carry it. So the actual real loss here is the people in the street, the working man. I have the ability to protect my employees, and I'll do that at all costs. It will be a last resort, and at this point in time, it's not on the cards. But that's where my concern is. And also what happens is when my supply chain gets destroyed, it's not like you can just replace it. I can't just go and find those guys that have been working for me for 20 years that know how we work. You must remember, we export. So the the level of precision and the level of technology and quality of work that we send out here has to be at the highest of levels. And as it is already, when my staff resign, I struggle to find qualified and skilled people in South Africa. We have a skill shortage.
And they can keep that quality of the work. Yeah, Sig, I got you. Thank you so much for making time for us, and all the best. Sig Lokoch is the operations director at Gender Mark. It's an automotive company in the Eastern Cape, and I thought we should bring you someone so we make this more practical to you about how devastating these U.S. tariffs are for companies. They are looking at losing potentially about 750 million rand. Can you imagine? And that's why even the Citrus Association says it's inevitable that we're going to lose some jobs here. How much money does government have to try and cushion the blow, or even plans this diversification of our trade portfolio? And how soon can that happen so that the industries that are most affected are somehow going to be protected, and our economy as well? Because now we have to revise our projections around economic growth. We're going to shave off about what did the minister say? Minister Ronald Lamola said 0.2% of South Africa's growth will be shaved off as a result of the impact of these tariffs. It's 10:33. Swiso has the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola has announced possible assistance for South African companies facing sweeping U.S. tariffs. Washington will slap South Africa with a 30% tariff on exports to the U.S. coming into effect on Thursday. Lamola was this morning giving an update after forming part of a delegation that was involved in trade negotiations to offset the impact. MEC for Community Safety in Mpumalanga, Jackie Masia, says he plans to write to the Department of Mineral Resources as the province looks for an intervention to address the long-standing crisis of illegal mining. This renewed call follows the arrest of close to 500 Zamazamas at a mine in Barberton last week. The illegal miners were arrested during Operation Valumkoti at the shaft in Shiba Gold Mine last week, Friday. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N12 West, we've got some delays approaching the Kilulis interchange and heading towards Alexandra. An accident reported right on the N3 North. It happened before Vincent Chabalala Road. Delays as you come out of the Kilulis interchange. Please be on the lookout there. There's about a 15-minute hold-up if you're traveling on the N3 North this morning. If you are traveling on the M2 West towards Main Roof, do expect delays coming out of the Crown interchange, and traffic lights are still out of order in four ways at Winnie Mandela Drive and Leslie. They're also out of order in Morfontein at Inville Road and Van Riebeck Road, bound to cause some delays. Please drive with care. We'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hollywood Bets is bringing you a bounty of prizes with Spina Zonke prize drops. Gear up to unravel an endless supply of treasures and claim fantastic riches with a chance to win an amazing share of 2.5 million rand in cash and prizes. All you have to do is bet 2 rand or more on selected pragmatic play games on Mondays, Tuesdays and Thursdays between 12:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Feel the ultimate thrill when you log in for a spin and bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
The Money Show. Weekday evenings at 6.
Professor Adrian Saviles, Professor of Economics and Finance at the Gordon Institute of Business Science.
The tariffs are necessarily taken by the buyer, not the supplier, and that hasn't yet shown its full hand. Give it a little bit more time and you'll start to see that inflation pressure present itself to U.S. households. That's the voter that starts to put up their hand in protest and say, this isn't what we voted for.
The Money Show
on 702. 702. Let's
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB. ABSA is a proud lead sponsor of B20 South Africa 2025. ABSA is a registered FSP. Your story matters. 702, let's walk the talk.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
23 minutes before 11 o'clock. We continue now with a series that we've been doing over the last couple of weeks where we look at successful land restitution cases. What I've enjoyed doing over the last couple of weeks through this feature is just understanding our history in as far as land dispossession is concerned. And I think we need to know and understand the resilience and the fighting spirit of communities that have been dispossessed of their land, that ultimately got their land back and transformed it into a source of pride and empowerment. I love hearing stories of communities that were removed from their land because there's a happy ending. It makes me angry, right? Dispossession makes me angry, but I feel better knowing that there is a process that's unfolded where people were given their land back, because it's more than just using it for commercial value. It's about dignity. It's about the link that we have to our ancestors, some of whom we have buried on the same land we were chased away from. So we've been looking at various successful land restitution cases, and today we are highlighting those pockets of successes by looking at the KwaGumbi community land reform case. This is a community that is situated at the heart of Zululand. In fact, they are the proud owners of a 12,000-hectare Somkanda private game reserve. It's actually one of the first successful community-owned and managed Big Five conservation ventures in South Africa. And all of this was a result of a successful land claim and the support from the KZN Wildlife and other conservation entities that played a vital role in assisting the community set up the reserve. Right, and it's situated in Mkuze, this reserve, and it's named after Somkanda Gumbi, who's the great-grandfather, of Inkosi, Zebulon Gumbi. These are people who were removed from this land back in 1960, resulting in 250 people losing their homes. People were relocated elsewhere, with some going as far as Umkhanyakude district. Now you've got the community, right, that is standing as an example of a successful land restitution program. And maybe you know the Somkanda Game Reserve. Maybe you've been there. Let me know. You can give us a call on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Nati Gumbi is a community member of the KwaGumbi community joining us on the line. Nati, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right. I was so happy to read about your case as the Gumbi community. Maybe take us back, Nati, to when the Gumbi community was repossessed of that land. What happened? Are there people who just came to the community, chased away the people who lived there? What did they plan to do with that land?
No, Clement, thank you very much again to you and your listeners. No, Clement, it's we are tribe. We are Gumbi tribe, like all the tribe in KZN. So my grandfather was there. My personal grandfather was the son of the late Inkosi that side, and they were respected. But when they are telling us the story, they said it started slowly. One white farmer came first. He claimed that he's going to stay living with them, just doing farming business like others. And the second came again, and another one. And they started to tell them about the rules, policies that was coming from Pretoria government, ignoring the rules of their Nkosi who was ruling at that time. They said that things were started not actually in 1960, but when they said we must claim the land, they said we must claim the land. That was from 1960. But this actually started back in 1914, 1950, slowly. They said it started to be more difficult in 1960, 1961. Things were hard for their lives. That's how things started. That's how the apartheid implemented in their land.
Sure. So then you've got these families that are removed from that land, as you've explained. Once the land was returned, I think it was in 2005, correct me if I'm wrong, I think as a community you spent about 8 years still trying to decide on its use. What were some of the main points of discussions or debates during that period? What were your considerations on how to use that land?
First of all, people were excited, and by that time, we had still those who were young, who experienced themselves. So who thought when the land coming back, things will happen like it was before. So they were excited. They were expecting us to tell them that we were going back, living like life it was, not doing commercial business, not following any government rules and the policies, because under this land reform things, the government was very strict because other land was using for profit and created some job opportunities. Some people said, no, we don't want that. We just want to bring our goats and our turkeys, living our own life. Others wanted to divide land by portion for their own benefits. So the dialogue was for that.
Okay. And then what did you ultimately settle on?
The thing, we needed to be very humbled and first of all allow them to be excited, allow them to enjoy, and allow them to practice their cultures, reporting to their ancestors for their different beliefs, as you know. But slowly but surely, make sure that you channel them accordingly, the time that is we are currently in it. And especially myself, I was only guy who was young amongst the old people at that time. So in our culture, it's not easy to listen the child. It's not easy to listen the young boy. But from the experience that we got from the different places, like other NGOs who shared with us the knowledge, we were able to come back and sit under the trees with our elders, try to explain the importance of not changing completely the style of living so that we accommodate those who were employed when the land was transferred to us, not just changing the things, because if we're doing like our elder things, there will be no one who was going to able to get a job opportunity. So slowly people listened for that. And we also look at the land, type of land that we received. It was not just a land that was suitable for sugarcane and other stuff. Then we started to think what kind of business, farming business we might run. Fortunately, we had some neighbors around us. We started to look at those neighbors and share the ideas with them, and coming to transfer the ideas to our elders and to our youngest, to tell them that the kind of business that was used to trace them out, it was a pain. So they just negative about the game reserve. But the different now, the game reserve was going to be owned by themselves. There will be no one traced, forced to be removed. So that was the challenge that was required for us to apply in our mind, so that we able to share the ideas with the people, and we humble to them and give them the opportunity because to express their views. That's what we did.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to know, maybe after the break, in fact, I want you to speak to us about how the community has benefited. I mean, there are many young people from the community that have now been trained in conservation, in hospitality. So I'm interested to know how this land now that is in the hands of the Gumbi community has benefited the lives and families of those in that community. So I'll get him to respond to that after the break. It's going up to 13 minutes now before 11 o'clock.
To walk the talk, is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct to give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
We are speaking this morning to Nati Gumbi, who is one of the community members of the Kwagumbi community. This is a community that was dispossessed of their land many years ago. And after so many years of claiming that land back, they are now the proud owners of a 12,000 hectare some kind of private game reserve, because that land was returned back to the community. It's actually one of the first successful community-owned and managed Big Five conservation ventures in South Africa. Nati has taken us through the history of what happened when the community was moved and forcefully removed, I should say, from that land, who came in, under what pretense, and what happened when they were trying to get the land back. And now they've got it. And they've got a conservation. Nati, I want you to tell us about the impact now on the community. So I imagine lots of young people have been trained in conservation, in hospitality. How is the community benefiting from this game reserve?
Yeah, Clement, first of all, I would like to make it clear that things was not happened enough. Like abantu bebe expectile ukuthi kuzokwenzeka, you understand. So because the reason for that is because abantu baningi, and they were scattered all over the KZN, even to other provinces like Gauteng, Eastern Cape. Abantu bakithi were all over. But we were able ukuthi those who were still there and those who were around from Zululand district and Mkhanyakude bakwazile ukuthi bacosha amathuba emsebenzi, training. Abanye abantu manje bakwazile ukuthi bangasebenze somkhanda, basebenze ko KZN Wildlife. They are employed there with the skills abasitholile, who received from the Somkhanda Game Reserve with the support of Wildland Trust, support of KZN Wildlife, with the support of WWF training. So baningi abantu abakwazile ukucosha, and we trained even the young people to be able ukuthi babe ngama waiters, babe ngama chefs. So bakhona bakwazi ukusebenza. Well, the challenge is that most of them are not employed for this moment. It's because of the isimo somnotho. But abanye banawo ama certificate with their hands, abanye baqashwa, abanye baqashwanga. It's very pain ukuthi akwazanga ukuthi kwenzeka lokho. But izinto zibe busy kakhulu, and kunethubela abalihleke when we sithole support from KZN Wildlife. Abanye babekwazi ukuthi balwe nama alien plant, and that time ngiyayikhumbula it was 5 years project, and yakwazi ukwenza izinto ezinhle kakhulu. Abanye bakwazile ukwakha imizi, bakwazi ngoba indawo yethu indawo ephuka kakhulu. Abanye babekhahlameza ubandlululo, you find ukuthi bebekhande izitini, izindlu ngezitini zodaka. Sikwazile ukushintsha yonke leyo nto leyo ngoba we make sure that we identify those right people esibonayo ukuthi isimo sabo sasibheda kakhulu. Sisamile ngaleso sikhathi ukuthi identify lapho to make sure ukuthi at least in a family sithola umuntu oyi-one okwazi ukuthi asebenze ashintshe impilo yabo. Well ke akuhlali kukhona, and it happened. kwaphinde kwadlula futhi abanye abantu manje they gone back kwi-situation kodwa esingeke sisafana nesaqala because we're able ukuthi sisebenzise umhlaba lo usefully.
Yeah, so Nathi there is just explaining how the different families have been impacted. There are some that may not have jobs now, but there are a lot of young people that have received certificates, that have been trained as well, especially when the community was getting the support from some of the organizations like the Wildlife and the WWF Nedbank Green Trust. All of that has helped them in just upskilling some of the community members. Nathi, how do you then share in the profits of this game reserve? So if you've got like several families that have taken claim of that land, they must be the beneficiaries as well. Is there like a percentage of, I don't know, the profit that comes from the game reserve that you share among community members? So how do community members benefit from what the game reserve makes?
I would like to be honest. Not even one who received a cent as individual, except job opportunities right now.
Okay.
Because this kind of business is a very hard business to run if you don't have money. It needs more money. It's a sustainable business, but it requires more skills and more money to be able to sustain a lot of things. It is in our plans that one day the family will receive shares like money and the support. It is in our plans, but we are still going there.
Okay. So there's someone who is asking you to advise those that are still waiting on their land claims. You know, normally when we do these conversations and we speak to people like you who have managed to get their land back, we always are cognizant of the fact that there are families out there in communities that have been waiting for 25 years, some of them close to 30 years. They've been through in and out of the courts trying to claim their land, and that process is still frustrated. So what message do you share with other communities who are still waiting on their land claim, so they're wondering what they could achieve once they get their land back?
Hey, Clement, you are talking to a person who've been through a lot with this thing, and you are talking to a person who wounded a lot. So when you ask this question, I feel like I can cry, but I can tell you one thing. I always talk to people who are on the same situation as you are saying right now. I meet with them. They used to invite myself. The reason they do that is just that this challenge is a new challenge. It's a new page in the lives of the people in South Africa. This opportunity never came to our ancestors or to our old generations, our grandfathers. So there is no tertiary or universities teaching people about what we are asking, except those who've been there, who've been through. So I tell them to be patient, first of all. The second thing is to be humbled, and they must prepare to share the experience with others and invite those who might be able to invite. And the policy of forget and forgive, which was applied by our former president, our hero Nelson Mandela, I've seen it practically. You need to apply it, this forget and forgive. You must forget about the color. You must forget about the blockades, is it the white people or not white people, because the most of skills for this kind of business is there. Ibona bakwazi ukurana this kind of
You must
business.
work in
So
partnership with them, you know.
we must work in partnership with them, especially tourism business. It's a very sensitive business. Most of land, you might find that we claimed they are on that kind of business, Barana tourism. And if you claim that land with anger and thinking that you will just dismiss everyone, fight with everyone, no, you will let the business down. You have to be cool, you have to humble yourself and invite them, be prepared to share whatever that you get, so that you are able to sustain the business. That's what I can tell other people. They must not think that we just claim the land as a tribe, or will do all. We need a compromise in this journey, so that when you are bringing back other matter, other stuff, you will do phase by phase, but make sure that the business is running and the standard of land and the quality of that land is on the same. That's what you need. You will do that with a compromise. You need to compromise just a little bit and be patient. Teaching people, especially young people, it's where you need to invest more the skills, so that you will see them, let them run on their own, but it's not something that can happen overnight in 5 years, in 10 years time. You need to be very patient. We trained a lot of people now, but what we have seen, we still need to work with the white people, beside, regardless of the color, regardless of the just need to forget about, because this new generation does not deserve to be like that.
Yeah. So how do people visit Somkhanda? And maybe you can share details with us. Do you guys have a website? But also I'm interested here because Somkhanda offers more than just wildlife. I know you also celebrate contemporary Zulu culture. Why was it important for you guys to integrate this cultural experience into that tourism offering you have?
Just in the name of Somkhanda. Somkhanda is our great father, myself and Nkos and other Kumbis. Somkhanda is a family with Zwangendaba, who formed his own empire at Malawi, Zambia. Somkhanda was a half brother of Zwangendaba. He just turned back at the Zambezi River and started his own empire, but he found that the King Shaka was in charge. So our chiefdom was under King Shaka kingdom. So we were serving under Shaka. So we are celebrating this culture to remind our people that who we are, and also reunite our tribe, and also able to teach the young people to know themselves, to remind themselves who are the Gumbis, who's the tribe of the Gumbis. And to other people, it's like a belief. Sensitive kakhulu when they are talking about these things. And when we are there at October, kusuke kuyilelo thuba lokuyifuna siyithole njengesizwe, sigubhe sipholise nezilonda, ama-wounds, senze sure ukuthi sesiyisizwe manje sikhona. And ku-sensitive kakhulu lokho, Clement, kodwa ke kuyenzeka. Kwesinye isikhathi sikwenza without enough resources of doing that, but ngenxa ukuthi inhliziyo zethu, our heart, suke zikhona, sijulile, kuba mnandi, kuyasipholisa, kwenza sikhohlwe nangezinto zango-1950, 1960 ezinzima, because our grandfather composed even the songs which are talking about that.
Amazing. How do people visit? Do you have a website? Can people go check?
We do have a website.
Okay, cool. So if they just Google Somkhanda, KwaZulu-Natal, it should pop up, yeah?
Yes, exactly.
Amazing. Nati, thank you so much for coming through. Nati Gumbi is a community member of the KwaGumbi community. They were removed from their land. They fought hard to have it back. Now they own a game reserve. And he speaks about the importance of partnership, even with the people that were benefiting from the land that wasn't theirs. That's an advice he gives. It's 11 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola has announced possible assistance for South African companies facing sweeping U.S. tariffs. Washington slapped South Africa with a 30% tariff on exports to the U.S. coming into effect on Thursday. Lamola was this morning giving an update after forming part of a delegation involved in trade negotiations to offset the impact.
So we'll continue to engage the U.S. with a view to conclude a deal that advances the interests of both countries. South Africa seeks to conclude deals that promote value addition innovation and industrialization, rather than extractive relations that deprive the country of the ability to beneficiate our mineral wealth by mimicking extractive colonial-era trade relations.
Meanwhile, President Cyril Ramaphosa has reiterated that the tariffs will have a considerable impact on local industries that rely heavily on exports to that country. He says the 30% tariffs imposed on imports into the US will also impact the workers of South African exporters as well as on the country's fiscus. Ramaphosa issued the warning in his latest newsletter, which focuses on the US trade tariffs which come into effect this week. Babalondenza reports.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says the decision by the United States to impose a 30% tariff on South African imports highlights the urgency for the need to adapt to what he calls turbulent headwinds in international trade. Ramaphosa says domestic sectors such as agriculture, automotive and textiles have historically benefited from duty-free access to the U.S. market under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. But the incoming tariff regime could potentially reverse the positive gains made under AGOA. Arguing South Africa's case, Ramaphosa adds that South African imports ultimately benefit U.S. consumers in terms of both choice and cost. He says an example of this is how citrus production is counter-seasonal and does not pose a threat to U.S. production. Ramaphosa says the country has been engaging the United States to enhance mutually beneficial trade and investment relations, and all channels of communication remain open to engage. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News.
Mpumalanga MEC for Safety or Community Safety, Jackie Masia, says he plans to write the Department of Mineral Resources as the province looks for interventions to address the long-standing crisis of illegal mining. This renewed call follows the arrest of close to 500 illegal miners at a mine in Barberton last week. The Zamazamas were arrested during Operation Valumkoti at a shaft at the Sheba Gold Mine. They are parts of a larger network that has continuously frustrated operations at the historic Barberton Mines complex. Speaking on the matter on 702 Zunguni program Siya Xoxaku 702 last night, Masia accused the mining company of dereliction of duty for failing to seal unused shafts, while Masia says law enforcement has done work to clamp down on illegal mining. He says the overseeing departments also need to step up.
I think we'll take the matter to DMRE and Human Settlements. They should be able to help us. Our responsibility is law enforcement. The matter must be dealt with by those departments for other interventions.
And the Border Management Authority has seized counterfeit goods and stopped a network of document fraud at the country's ports of entry. The MBA yesterday released its quarterly report for the 2025-26 financial year. It shows that over a space of 3 months, authorities have intercepted counterfeit goods with an estimated street value of more than 1 million rands. BMA Commissioner Michael Masiapato says they are working on strengthening security measures to stop illicit trade.
Additionally, in dealing with illicit trade, which negatively affect our economy, the border guards seized about 32 bales of counterfeit clothing, 201 pairs of counterfeit footwear with an estimated value of $1 million, as well as 98,000.
Gold is trading at $3,359.07 an ounce. The rand is at 17.98 to the dollar, 23.87 to the pound, 20.78 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $69.69 a barrel.
Bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 as well as the R24 West between Edenville Road and the Kidulis interchange. That's due to a major accident that's been reported right at the merge, the N12 and the R24. If you're traveling on the N3 North towards Alexandra, do expect delays due to another accident near Vincent Chabalala Road, delays from Marafontein Road.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 22 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola has announced possible assistance for South African companies facing sweeping US tariffs.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Your stories,
your questions.
702 listens. You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, Sanmonani, Bunju. Welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. I hope your Monday is going well so far. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Let's get straight into our Family Matters feature.
702.
Family Matters.
So a couple of weeks ago, we had a conversation on this feature about the mama's boy phenomenon. And this often over-dependent relationship between mother and son. And we received lots of reaction from people that are mama's boys, positively so, in that they are just closer to their moms. And that's a term that, in a description that they embrace, right? But we also received calls from people, some guys, who actually indicated that they do still rely on their mothers for some approvals. You know, they don't see anything wrong with the fact that they can ask mama to comment on how the house should be furnished, for instance. Or if my mom doesn't like you, then I don't know if I should be dating you. And we received calls from people who have dated or have been married or are still married or are still dating mama's boys. And they were complaining, some of them, that mama always has to approve of whatever we do as a married couple. So you could sense that there is an unhealthy relationship that still exists out there between mothers and their children, especially the boy children, to be specific. So how do we build more healthier relationships between mothers and their sons? So when we started this conversation, it really struck a nerve with some of you talking about this mama's boy phenomenon and the deeper issue of mother-son enmeshment, right? We heard from many of you who are sons, who are mothers, who are partners, who recognize themselves in these patterns. And as I said when we had this conversation first, this term mama's boy is often used as slang to describe a man who has an unhealthy dependence on his mom well into adulthood, when he's expected to be independent and self-reliant. But I'm also cognizant of the fact that the term has been reclaimed in recent years to indicate a boy or a man who appreciates, respects, and admires, or even has a close relationship with their mother. So an unhealthy relationship can be as a result of mother-son enmeshment, right? Enmeshment, which we spoke a lot about in the previous segment, which involves a blurred emotional boundaries and codependency and a loss of individual identity. So yes, a close relationship with one's mom can be wonderful, right? It shouldn't come at the cost of independence, though. It shouldn't come at the cost of healthy relationships with others or even personal growth. So what I want us to do today is to, yes, number one, just hear more of your experiences about relationships between you as sons and your mothers, but also relationships between your partners, your husbands, who you think are still close to their moms, whether in a healthy or unhealthy way. You can share that experience with us. But I want us today to explore what happens after the realization that something is off. Like, what does healing actually look like for the son and the mother, and the relationships that are impacted by this emotional overdependence? How do you even untangle this bond without cutting ties? And can you truly still honor your mom
and still claim your independence? So we've got clinical and sports psychologist Dr. Tumi Mashiro, who is going to help us navigate this conversation with us, who's joining us on the line. And before I get to me, let me remind you of the number to dial to share your experience: 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Have you been described as a mama's boy? Are you a son who is emotionally over-dependent on your mom? Have you begun the journey of, I don't know, redefining that relationship with your mom? Or maybe you're a partner navigating this dynamic from the outside. Or maybe you're a mother with a son who is struggling to let go. Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. Dr. Mashiro, thank you so much for making time for us. This is such an important conversation, as we've seen the last time we spoke about it. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Truly, it is an important discussion to have.
Yeah. Let's just remind, just to recap the conversation, what are some of the psychological roots of the mama's boy phenomenon and this concept of mother-son enmeshment?
I think firstly, it's important to understand that a relationship between a mother and a son, as we're speaking in this case, can be both, can be healthy. At times it can be unhealthy. And mama's boy basically can be either way, because what happens is, in a healthy relationship, someone watching this, someone who has issues of, control and just being uncomfortable with this closeness might be triggered by a healthy relationship between a mother and a son. And on the other end of the spectrum, it can be unhealthy, and there's many reasons for this. For example, maybe the mother was parenting alone, and there was a lot of the need to feel like in control. She could be projecting her own issues about, the father of the child onto the child, or even issues about themselves, wanting to protect this child and also expecting this child to then do for them, a lot of things when they start earning, making money, earning a living. So we also need to understand also that the child watching mother in this manner can also develop certain traits, meaning they become codependent on the mother, where it's actually unhealthy, as we touched on in the previous segment. And when it's like that, then they also struggle in their own adult relationships because of this, and also that love-hate dynamic that goes to play, right? I love my mom, but there's something off about certain behaviors that she displays. It can be quite a struggle for any child, even when they are adults.
Yeah. So and you've spoken also about like how enmeshment often stems from these unmet emotional needs, particularly on the mother's side. How can those needs unconsciously shape the son's development into adulthood? How do we become shaped by those?
So a child learns from the environment. So it's that nurture versus nature conversation where, yes, genetically we're predisposed to certain things, but if we are observing, right, this unhealthy caregiver, or the way in which they give you care, which it's not quite, it's almost like overbearing or enmeshment, as we put it. So when the child is observing this, they can then internalize it as the norm, or it can create so much anxiety within the child that they develop certain things in terms of relating, in terms of their confidence, where, they are quite unsure. Because sometimes, remember, when the mom is doing what it is that she's doing, she doesn't have the capacity to give the child the emotional support that they need. And because of where they are, they're struggling to sort of find balance in that. So the child can definitely learn from this. And what we learn in our childhood, if we don't deal with it, so if someone doesn't point it out to this child, or they become aware, they will carry it into adulthood. And I think that's what is always challenging to understand, is that the things that happen in our childhood will shape how we interact, our relationships, and our personality. Yeah. And until you have that introspection to say, okay, I need to do something about it, it doesn't go away. Yeah. It just continues to become the norm home, even if it's unhealthy. We are creatures of habit. So we become comfortable, even though it's uncomfortable in the discomfort.
Yes, and I want us to just take some more calls and WhatsApps, because there are some parents who are confused, who are like, I've got a close relationship with my son, but I'm not sure if it's healthy or unhealthy, or maybe sons themselves who can call us and maybe ask, is this healthy, is this not? So send us your WhatsApp voice notes. We'll start with them in a moment. I want us to, before we go to these calls and WhatsApps, Dr. Mashiro, talk about the impact this can have on relationships. So this emotional over-dependence between mother and son, what impact does it often have on relationships? I mean, some of what shocked me last week was that there are some sons out there who are still married, but they still need the validation or approval from the mom, like to even like, oh, we want to finish the home, and the mom must somehow have a say, even when you have your own partner that you can decide with on that. What impact does this kind of unhealthy relationship between mother and son have on romantic relationships?
Definitely, it can create a lot of conflict. And remember, the child or the son who's now an adult, there is also reasons why they feel they need to, get this validation or approval from the mom. So usual times, the son has internalized certain things, and they function from a place of maybe anxiety about losing the mom. I mean, let's just give an example. I had a session, workshop session, where I was just talking about boundaries, and this gentleman, and a disclaimer, it wasn't therapy. So this gentleman says to me, Doc, my mom is the only person who can give me unconditional love, right? So therefore, I do not think I should withhold things that she's used to, because she will be unhappy and I will feel like I'm failing as a son. My mom was the only person who, did well to raise me. And he was of view that if he did change or set boundaries around certain things, that the mom will start, will not be okay and not treat them the same. And he's of view, he'll not hear the end of it. And then I said to him, but it sounds like that's a condition. You are saying that she gives you unconditional love, but in the same breath, you are saying that if I change our dynamic in terms of what I give to her, there will be a problem. But for me, that sounds like it's actually conditional, because it sounds like whether it's a conscious or subconscious thing, that mom, approves of you when you do certain things. And I think that's where the conversation with the self-reflection must happen for the son, because we can't change other people who don't see anything wrong. So if mom doesn't see anything wrong with her behavior, there's no unfortunately, she won't benefit from therapy. But the work that needs to happen in that scenario is that the son needs to do the work to internally reflect on actually the reality of this relationship with my mom, but also to understand that it doesn't undo the good things she's done. I think that's what people or sons struggle with. When you say, I love mom and I hate this behavior. Sometimes I even say, okay, maybe you don't hate the behavior, you dislike how it makes you feel. So I love her. Also, two things can be true at the same time, but I dislike how she makes me feel, when she behaves in this manner or when she says these things. And do the work within to understand that it's not saying that mom is all bad, right? It's just saying she's a human being. And as an adult, you get to see her for who she is, and then do the work to grieve the mom you thought you had, and accept that my mom is a human being, and it's a human being, and that she doesn't have the capacity. She didn't have it, and she still doesn't, to parent me in a certain manner. And therefore, how do I move forward from this?
Yeah. So, and for some people, it's so complex. Dr. Mashiro, they're probably the only son. Maybe mom raised them on their own. And I wonder what role guilt and shame, or even the fear of abandonment, play in keeping these sons emotionally entangled, even when they do want to grow. So there are some people listening to us now who are thinking, I realize that, there was an unhealthy emotional overdependence, maybe on the part of the mom, and they're saying my wife or my partner doesn't like that, and it's costing our relationship, and I'm trying to find other ways, but I feel so sorry. And my mom makes guilt trips me all the time, reminds me of how you are my only one in this world, so to speak. So how do you deal then with that? Like for people listening but they still feel guilty. They feel like, oh, I'm abandoning my mom. How do they deal with that guilt and shame?
And that's where then the journey to actually heal. So once you actually realize that there is a problem, like we say to people struggling with substances or alcohol, for example, we say to them, just be aware there's a problem. You don't have to be sober to come to me. Just be aware that alcohol is your demon. So when you are aware of, that there's something, please seek that professional help to help you process and navigate that. And yes, guilt might be a part of it, because remember, as you giving in that example, that this is the one person whom really sacrificed to ensure that you are the adult who you are today. They did their best, even though they don't have the capacity, right? Or they're not aware of the unhealthy part of the relationship. So once you become aware, then the onus is on you to do the work to ensure that you process all the big feelings that will come with it. As I said, you might also have to grieve, the idea of or that you had about mom, that you thought she was this perfect human being, and now here you are 40 years later, you're realizing that mom is but human and perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist even for mom, and grieve that, but also then start the new phase of your life where you're embracing her for who she is.
Yeah.
So in spite of her limitations, that is where you will be able to also give that unconditional love, to say, it doesn't mean I don't love her. I just recognize that this is unhealthy, it's hampering me, but let's move forward from it, and ensure I embrace that. And knowing that, bearing in mind that mom is likely not going to, might be resistant towards you treating her differently, right? So also be, accepting of that, so that you can deal with the emotions that come with that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the calls now. There's so many of our listeners waiting to share their experiences. Some of them have some questions for you. 011-883-0702. Are you a mama's boy? And just to be clear, in fact, Sam on Twitter says, Clement, a healthy relationship of a man close to their mama is a mama's boy, but an unhealthy version ke mama's baby. So that essay context is important. And yeah, that's why I said earlier on that, yes, this term mama's boy, for the longest time, if you look back to, where it comes from, it was talking about the unhealthy dependence on, between mother and child, that unhealthy over dependence on each other well into adulthood. But I do know that the term has been reclaimed in recent years to indicate a boy or a man who appreciates, respects, admires, and has a close relationship with his mom. And I consider myself a mama's boy myself in a healthy way, but I'm not going to be calling my mom and getting permission every time before I do anything. And if you find yourself in that situation where even when you've got people in your adulthood that you could talk to, get advice from about certain things, including your partner, but somehow you still find yourself running back to your mom, or she feels the need to have a say, or otherwise she guilt trips you and she's angry at you for not taking her advice, but you've taken maybe your partners or your friends, then you need to start questioning whether that relationship is healthy or not. So what are your experiences? Let's start with you, Tsulu. You're calling us from Montana in Pretoria. Good morning.
Hi, morning, Clement.
Sure. Go ahead.
Look, what I've experienced is that as in a single parent, like in a single parent home, from what I've seen is that, for example, ladies will start teaching your boy child, responsibilities from an early age. For example, taking the car to the car wash, taking the car to go and buy bread, and so on and so forth. So, what my question is that does that not, over time, influence the relationship of the mother becoming heavily dependent on the child, and that in turn the child feels maybe responsible to take care of the mom, because now he plays, in inverted commas, a father or a husband figure in the mother in the relationship.
Yeah. Well, good question there, Tsulu in Montana. Thank you for your call, Dr. Mashiro.
Definitely, that's the scenario that we often see, is that the boy child becomes the mom's partner or step up partner because of the circumstances, and the mother becomes overly dependent, and then therefore, the child also can then, feel like they are playing a role, right? So they become an adult at a very young age, and it's quite heavy on a child, especially the firstborn boys. That tends to happen a lot, where there's an absent father figure in the family. And I think also society has this pressure on boys to become young, responsible men from the day they are born. So there is also that constant pressure to show up as a man. There's all these nuances around what it is to be a man, and there's so much pressure on the boy child from an early age, especially in those circumstances. But definitely it can create that overdependence, that dynamic, because of the situation in the house. So the mother then needs to be aware of and be willing to also do the work to change that. And it's not always easy for the mom.
Yeah. All right, let's listen to some WhatsApp voice notes that have come through on 072 702 1702.
Clement, good day. I have what they call a one-child syndrome. Yes, and I'm overprotective, and he is being called Mama's boy, and in my own terms, I will call him Baby Bongani, because he's my only son, and he does run everything past me. But in the same breath, he has also said to me, Mommy, please don't smother me. But my opinion counts a lot. So if that is, when they say spoiled, I don't know. But we have a very respectful relationship, and I must give him props for that. He has never been disrespectful towards me, and I'm so grateful to God for that. So he can be called Mama's boy. It's fine with me.
Yeah, and Dr. Mashego, I love that. So cute that they have that relationship. But then what happens when this guy finds a partner? Because the mom says he runs everything past me. What happens when he finds a partner and maybe the partner has a different idea to what the mom wants? At some point the son is going to feel some conflict. So I suppose this mom is asking, yeah, we're close, like one-child syndrome, but we still respect each other. Why is that now branded unhealthy, the fact that he runs everything past me? It works for both of them, seemingly, for now.
And as long as I think she verbalized also what stood out for me, in that the son also said, don't smother me. So, and I wonder how she reacted to that, right? Did she take it personally? But it sounds like she didn't. So I think it's very important that when boundaries are set, that they are still respected. Because what happens is, the struggle is when the young boy or the young men in the relationships set the boundaries, then the mom does not take it well. So it sounds like they have a healthy relationship in that way. But yes, it'll be interesting to see what happens when a partner enters into that scenario. Will the mom still be respectful when the son does not run things by her first? Maybe he stops, or she's the second go-to person after the partner. How that will change the dynamic, and maybe it might be healthy, maybe it might not be. Like we don't know what we don't know until the thing actually happens.
Absolutely. It's 11:30. After the latest in Eyewitness News headlines, more of your calls, your WhatsApps as well. Are you a mama's boy? Is it in a healthy way? Is it in an unhealthy way? How has this phenomena cost your relationship? Mbali, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says the 30% U.S. tariff hike creates new uncertainty for South African exports and disrupts global trade. Lamola has been announcing possible assistance for South African companies who are facing sweeping U.S. tariffs. He briefed the media this morning after forming part of a delegation involved in trade negotiations to offset the impact. The MK party is going ahead with challenging the special leave of Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and his temporary replacement Feroz Kachalia. Lawyers for former President Jacob Zuma have once again written to his successor, President Cyril Ramaphosa, demanding more details regarding his decisions. The party says these will better inform a case it intends to launch in the High Court. And the case against a Johannesburg mother accused of forcing her 4-year-old son to smoke drugs has been postponed once again. The 4 accused, which include the mother and 3 men, will now return to the Johannesburg Magistrates Court on Thursday for address verification. The group has been in custody since their arrest last month on charges of child abuse as well as attempted murder. Those are the headlines, this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N12 West, we still have got that accident reported right near the R24 merge. Delays coming out of Edenville Road towards the Kilulis interchange, while on the N3 North, more delays. This is between Morafontein Road and Vincent Chabalala Street. This is due to another accident scene. Please be on the lookout there and approach with care. While traveling towards Amalgam, we've got some delays on the M2 West. This is between the Crown interchange and Main Reef Road. Main Reef Road in itself is backed up approaching Albertina Sisulu Road, so please be on the lookout there and drive with care. I'm Amo Ramela. Karabujali will have your next traffic update from the midday report onwards. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Selling your car shouldn't be a mission. We Buy Cars gets it. Life's short and time's precious. Get an offer online and sell your car within a day from wherever it suits you. It's really that simple with We Buy Cars. Shopping for your new ride? Well, discover thousands of vehicles online and in store. We Buy Cars, South Africa's trusted way to buy and sell cars.
There's power in a single partner who helps you build a better employee benefits strategy. Begin with retirement, the foundation of securing your employee's future. Now layer in everyday health, mental wellness, and financial balance. And finally, essential protection for life's curveballs, from illness to income loss. Now that sounds like a complete benefit strategy, one that protects your people and powers your business. Talk to us at employeebenefits@oldmutual.com about Old Mutual Corporate's integrated employee benefits solutions. Old Mutual Corporate is a division of Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited, a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Hollywood Bets is bringing you a bounty of prizes with Spina Zonke prize drops. Gear up to unravel an endless supply of treasures and claim fantastic riches with a chance to win an amazing share of 2.5 million rand in cash and prizes. All you have to do is bet 2 rand or more on selected pragmatic play games on Mondays, Tuesdays and Thursdays between 12:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Feel the ultimate thrill when you log in for a spin and bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
702.
Family Matters.
25 minutes before 12 o'clock, let's continue with our conversation about this mama's boy phenomena. Let's go straight to your WhatsApp voice notes.
Hi, Clement. Sabele here. While we're on this topic of mama's boys, can we also try to discuss the impact caused due to the mothers being the ones that are overbearing from when raising the child, making them very dependent on their mothers at a very early age, so much so that it goes with them into adulthood. I think maybe that's worth getting an opinion about from the listeners and the doctor.
Hey, Clement, great show as always. I've got a really positive relationship with my mom. She raised me after my parents divorced. And the one thing that my mom did that was really, really important is she gave me the space and the tools to be self-sufficient and to make my own decisions. And so as I grew up, our relationship evolved from one where I was asking her for permission to asking her for guidance. You know, so for me, that's a healthy relationship with your parent, with your mother.
I like that, Dr. Mashiro. Permission versus guidance. That's an important distinction there.
Yes, definitely, and it's good that the mother was also open to that. I think that's what also the first caller or the first voice note was talking about, that the mothers are not always aware, or they're struggling, or they don't have the capacity to realize that they cannot save their child from life. And I think maybe that's why the smothering, right? Because you want to protect your child at all costs, but it's not possible, right? Your child is on their own path, their own journey, and they're not for you to control just because you gave birth to them. So definitely the mothers need to be intentional in understanding that, something can happen to you, right? So your aim as a mother is to equip your child to be able to be independent and to thrive when there's stress, and to also be able to deal with emotions, right? Because sometimes we want to protect our child from feeling pain, but that's part of life. No person can feel joy all the time. It's impossible. You set yourself up for failure. So I think intentional mothering and fathering, of course, is something that we really need to talk about, that don't parent from a place of pain, a place of lack, a place of trying to save. We're not saved as a parent. You're not meant to be saving the child from troubles. To direct and set boundaries and set them up so they can thrive even in your absence.
Absolutely. Some of the WhatsApps that have come through here, some texts. Anonymous says, "Hi, Clement, and the awesome team there. My 30-year-old son is definitely a mama's boy. Completely independent holistically and not relying on me for anything. However, he understands that his home is a safe place. No mommy issues. As a single mom whom his dad denied him, I could only do my best to raise him. He's employed, has his own apartment, does everything for himself. Everyone said I'm overprotective. Yes, I had to. But today I'm truly proud of him and his successes. What an interesting conversation. I love it so much." That's a message there from Momo. Yeah, Momo, that sounds like a healthy relationship with the son there. Another one says, "Hi, Clement. I've been reflecting on my relationship with my mom, and I'm starting to feel like I may have spoiled her over the years. It seems like she's begun to use the emotional bond we share as a kind of leverage against me. For instance, whenever I'm unable to help her financially, she makes these heartbreaking statements like, 'Maybe it's better if I just die.'" Hi, Mama. No ways. No. Okay. She makes these heartbreaking statements like, "Maybe it's better if I just die." It really puts me in an incredibly tough position because I genuinely care for her and I want to support her. I often find myself overwhelmed, feeling that she's using my love and devotion to manipulate me. It's a difficult situation, especially since I know she believes that my success is partly due to her prayers and encouragement. I love her deeply, but I can't help but feel that sometimes parents like her can unfortunately weaponize the affection we give them. Ooh, this is so important. It's a complex emotional struggle, and I wanted to share this with you best. That's a message from Ulifile from Senton. Okay, I mean, I giggle there, Dr. Mashiro, because actually, I remembered that there's been a case that a friend of mine has shared with me about a mom who also made a threat almost similar to that, because, this friend of mine couldn't give the mom what the mom wanted at the time. And I think sometimes we don't think of our parents as possible manipulators. We don't think that they're capable of manipulating the affection they know we have for them, for whatever that they may need. So how cautious do we need to be? Because I love that this listener says, "I've just been reflecting on the relationship and I'm picking up that there have been pockets of manipulation here and there." So how cautious do we need to be so that we can reflect like this listener?
So self-reflection, it takes courage to do that. When you sit and you see your mom for who she is, I'm constantly saying that she's a human being, therefore she will have flaws. So you need to grieve. That's superwoman idea, that perfect mom idea that maybe you had, and the reality to see that, hey, but I love her, she did good, there are good things she did, but I dislike or I hate how she makes me feel in certain instances.
Oh, did we just lose Dr. Mashiro there? Okay, I think we've lost her. Something happened there to that Zoom link. Tell you what, we're going to take a quick ad break. We're going to try re-establish that line with her. Let her finish that point and then go take more of your WhatsApps, some calls as well. I think what this listener has just said is so important. Our mothers are human beings, right? Like all of us, they are capable of also wanting to take advantage of situations. Like we are also capable of that as human beings. So it doesn't make them terrible people. But I think that we've come to a point where we think of our mothers as angels. And that's how we've been socialized to think of them. That's why when our mothers make simple mistakes, we're so quick to cut them off because we don't think of them as human beings who are capable of making mistakes or who are capable of doing things for their own benefit or who are capable of manipulation like all of us. And I think we just need to appreciate them like that. Like just know that your mom, like you, is a normal human being. Like you, your mom can make a mistake. Like you, your mom can be manipulative. Like you, your mom could cheat. Whatever you can think of. It is possible. The fact that they are mothers doesn't mean that they're beyond reproach. I think many of us have fallen into that trap of taking our mothers and putting them on a pedestal. They've got to be these angelic figures. They cannot do anything wrong. And I think that's where the mistake is. Because we're not able to have a proper, honest reflection of the relationship we have with them, or even a proper reflection of how they relate with us. Have you reflected on the relationship that you have with your mom? And what have you found? 011-883-0702. I'm told that we've got Dr. Mashiro back. Can you hear us now, Dr. Mashiro?
Yes, I'm back. Yes.
All right, please, if you can just finish the point
just
you were
to
making.
try to keep up where I was. Yes, I was just saying self-reflection is quite hard, and it's good that the gentleman said he started to reflect. Some people need a mirror, like myself, a clinical psychologist, to actually reflect on the reality of who their mom is. And it's not to say mom is all bad. As I said, two things can be true at once, that mom really did her best. She showed me love in the best way she knew how. Remember, there is no recipe, right, to mothering, to loving. She was also, that is what she has capacity for, but also to be realistic, to say she's human, she's a human being, and also there were these limitations, and I don't like how it makes me feel. And to know that also having a conversation with mom might cause a lot of fights, a lot of resistance, because people sometimes are not ready to hear the truth about how they make others feel. So what I recommend for the gentleman who has started to reflect is to actually seek a mirror like myself, professional help, to go sit and have this, process all the emotions that come with the realization of who mom is, the one who is able to manipulate when you least expected it, and to process that and to understand that, there's the need to then move forward with seeing who she is, but still thrive in spite of who mom is. And difficult conversations are important we need to have those. And I think as human beings, we don't want to go there. But the only way to get closer to someone is to have those difficult conversations if you want to grow, be it in an intimate relationship or even in family dynamics. And that's why, when we don't have those conversations, chances are the relationship, the closeness, the bond might not grow. So it's quite important to understand that difficult conversations are part of our interactions as human beings.
Yeah. Hi, Clement. It's Banele from Nelspruit in Stone Henge. I'm a mama's boy, but I and my mom are having a nice and healthy relationship. Why? Because I don't need approval or validation whenever I want to do something. The only thing she does is support me on whatever decision I take. She really loves me. It's worse because I'm his only child. I'm glad to say the bond between both of us doesn't affect my marriage. Yeah, so that's what this person says here, who's sending us a message all the way from Nelspruit. So I'm going to take a quick ad break, and then I'm going to come back with some more calls, and I'll get Dr. Mashiro to just give some more tips to parents out there that are still hanging on and they feel like, yeah, I still want to have a say. Because also, we must have grace for the parents. It's not that easy to just let go. You know, when someone has been dependent on you for so many years and now you have to like cut that umbilical cord, so to speak, and allow them to make decisions for themselves, including allowing them to make mistakes, because that's part of life. That can be difficult, hey, as a parent. So how do you deal with that? Have you navigated that before? 13 minutes before 12.
What is Overtrail? Is it off the beaten path, over the edge of comfort, or the thrill of the road less taken? It's over every bridge, every obstacle, every trail, and over to that view that takes your breath away. Overtrail means going further, exploring deeper, surrounded by the comfort and sophistication of a luxury SUV. It's this spirit that inspired the Overtrail project. Experience Overtrail in the LX and GX range. Lexus. Experience amazing.
With the cost of living going up, you may be looking for ways to save money, like reusing your old tea bags. Well, Outsurance has a better solution. They could save you money on your car insurance. So contact Outsurance today for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Time to get more out of your car insurance. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed, insured, and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
So we did a thing, a full commitment kind of thing. We've partnered with Sixt to bring worldwide to your doorstep. So you see how that's a serious thing, because that's what you deserve. We know you're the GOAT, so premium it is. Premium service, premium vehicles, premium you, premium us. Sani Sixt is all about adding extra to ordinary. Extra reach, extra countries, so you can be extra premium worldwide. Be the greatest of all time and rent Sani Sixt.
702.
Family Matters.
12 minutes before 12 o'clock. Let's start with your WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702. Or before that, let me read these messages here. Anonymous says, Clement, that mama's boy phenomena has cost me my marriage. I couldn't take it anymore. This man was completely under the petticoat government. The mother was pulling the strings from where she was, and I could literally feel her breathing down my neck. It's abnormal. They should stay with their mothers until they are properly weaned. Aggrieved ex-spouse. Yeah, Anonymous. Yeah, I can feel that anger from where I am now. Another one says, Clem, I'm obviously a girl, and my relationship with my mom has significantly improved when I humanized her, saw her as someone more than just my mom. So I'm able to recognize when she's manipulative or if she's reacting a certain way because of my own actions. My brother, on the other hand, I believe they have an unhealthy codependency, especially after losing our dad. And the person who wants to put up boundaries is my mom. But my brother is struggling to let go. Shoo! It's a message there from Lerato. That's a tough one. And Lerato, I agree. Once we learn to humanize our parents, guys, we learn to really have a better relationship with them. That's equally what I've done as well. I've tried to look at my parents as human, right? They're not on earth to just be my parents. And I think that's another biggest mistake we make. Your parents are not here just to be your parents. Like, they're here to have a human experience, the same way that you are having right now. You may choose to have children. You may choose not to have children. Oh, maybe you may have or may not have children due to circumstances. But you didn't come to be alive to just exist to be someone's parent. We didn't exist. We don't exist to be someone's son or daughter. So as soon as you realize that parents, one, have come to have their own lives and they've had their own lives and they'll continue to have their own lives. But also parents are not angels, especially our mothers. They make mistakes. They're capable of making mistakes. We are capable of being manipulative. What makes us think our parents are not? Huh? They're not angelic. They don't have like some powers that makes them so holy, holier than everybody else. So you have to learn to know where they're coming from and manage that relationship. I've got days when I can hear my mom is being dramatic here, and I just think, mother, not going to work today. That manipulation is not going to work, because I've learned that she's just saying that or doing that because she wants something for her own benefit. And I must learn to be mature enough to just recognize that. Let's move past it. And she will learn as well that there I was trying to push the button, it didn't work. That's very important for us to learn.
Hi, Clement. At times it's not a mama's boy, because with me, my kids are independent. But I told him that when they want to buy houses or cars, they must let me know, because I know how to negotiate the rates. And you know, with this crooks in the industry, especially the housing industry, I have to be there, because I know the in and outs of buying a property or renting a flat and all that, because I work with all those things.
Okay.
So I always tell them, include me. And once I'm included, I don't care anymore. That's Veronica from Springview.
No, I that makes sense though. Hey, Dr. Mashoro, because mom is bringing skills here, right? Not some influence.
Definitely. Definitely. It'll be interesting to hear the children's experience of that. Do they appreciate it, or do they feel like your mom is overbearing? But it sounds like from her perspective, it's something that's working for them and it's for their own benefit. And also, I wonder how mom will react though if they don't go with what she says, right? Where, you know, children sometimes want to learn the hard way, and I think that's when they learn, when they do things for themselves. But yes, it's good to know that it sounds like it's healthy.
Yeah, it's healthy like that. But yeah, sometimes parents are they're finding it difficult to. I mean, I remember once, some time back, I was considering leaving the country to go work elsewhere, because there were opportunities for me. And I told my mom that, yeah, I will go, but just for 4 years. And she headed with me. She just, and she wasn't well at the time, health-wise. And she was threatening all sorts of things. Yeah, I'm going to be gone by the time you come back. I'm like, well, if you do go, I'll come to the funeral. It's just a flight away. But she was just so emotional about it. And I was like, but I just want to take up an opportunity overseas, you know? And I've had to learn that. Shame, that's just a mom who's going through the emotions, right? And you must allow them to do that, but just know where to draw the line, right? If it's an opportunity you really want, it's just that ultimately I decided not to take up that opportunity. But I did consider it. It wasn't because of her. You must just know, where do I draw the line here? Do I say, this is a decision I make, and if it is going to be a mistake, it's a mistake I will make. Yeah? It's like the pressure my mom puts on me to also sometimes stop this job, because she gets worried whenever I get attacked or people, threaten me, because that happens often. And she always says, why are you doing it? Just leave the job, go do something else. But you must learn that, this is a choice I make to do this because I love what I do. And at some point, maybe I'll have a different answer or I'll have a different approach. But for now, that's a decision you take. Hey, T on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, I am a certified mama's boy. I crumbled into irredeemable pieces when my mom passed away. I wish things had been so different because I hadn't been able to recover from her death. Oh, T, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm really so sorry to hear that. And I hope that you can really find it in your heart to at least begin accepting she's gone and learn to live with that. And it's going to be painful because that's how grief is. You can't postpone it. You can't deal with it now and forget. But I wish you healing, and I wish that you can get to a point where you start healing from the passing away of your mom. And then another anonymous on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, the conversation is so important because it's what I'm going through with my mom. I'm learning in therapy that there are things, there are certain levels of parenting I will never get from my mom. And I need to grieve that. It's hard, but there are certain things she didn't get from her mother and therefore can't give me that. It comes with a little resentment, if I'm honest, because it's difficult to digest that I can't go to her for certain things because she won't get it. Anonymous, that's what it is. Like there are certain qualities you and I don't have, right, as human beings. And you and I may have children at some point and not give them that. But are we going to accept being blamed by our children for that? I think we have a responsibility, you and I, to try and change how we've been raised so that we raise our children differently. But our parents come from a completely different generation. So some of us, our parents are from the villages. In fact, with the minute you talk about therapy to them, they're asking, what do you even mean? So we need to learn to be more gracious. Like our parents are not going to fulfill every single need of ours, whether emotionally or physically. Take them as human beings, just like you. Did you cheat last week? Did you make a mistake a month ago? Did you do something you were not supposed to do 6 weeks ago? Why do you think your mother is incapable of that? Because you've put them on a pedestal. Start looking at them as human beings, because then you've got the grace to look at them as humans. And part of their human experience was to bring you to this world. But that's not what limits their human experience. Dr. Mashoro, if you can just respond to this T who's lost the mom and says she's just struggling with it. I mean, it's so difficult to also talk about grief like that, because grief, people respond differently to grief, don't they?
Definitely. And what grief is we grieve because we loved.
Yeah.
And I often even say to people that sometimes we grieve that which was not good for us. So when something was toxic, someone was toxic, we grieve them the same way we would grieve someone who was, great towards us, because the heart is like that. It's a bit, I always say it's a bit weak like that, or the mind is a bit weak, like doesn't distinguish that this thing was good for me or this thing was not. But to T, I really highly recommend that he does get the professional help to process the intense emotions that comes with grieving. And it's not about making him forget the love he had for his mom. It's to just helping him process the emotions. And some days will be better than others. It's a process, and days will not be the same. But please seek that help, just to have a mirror for those emotions. And losing a mom is tough. Losing a parent is tough, especially one whom you loved. So I really wish him the courage to find a safe space to process those emotions.
Dr. Tumi Mashiro, clinical and sports psychologist, thanks for making time for us.
In a world where everything is instant, some things are worth slowing down for. You took the time to build a life of distinction. Every moment, every milestone, every decision. At Indwe, we take the time to understand your world and craft insurance solutions to protect it. Because true peace of mind is the greatest luxury of all. The right insurance starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindwe.co.za. Indwe Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Transnet. Their CEO, Advocate Michelle Phillips, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
How are you doing, Mandy?
Good, thanks, and you, Clem?
What's popping today? I'm all right.
That briefing underway today. Ministers Tau and Lamola giving an update on the impact of the US tariffs and what government can do to assist. It is also the final day of the ANC NEC meeting, so we'll find out about that one. We'll unpack the targeting of Ekurhuleni's auditors. Very interesting piece by Sekunati Manchancha on that today, so we'll speak to him. A delegation from the National Council of Provinces is meeting with General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. And we'll wrap up the weekend sport.
Including that frustrating race.
I heard you speaking about it earlier.
Anyway, that's the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Thank you for listening to the Monday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. Let's chat again tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says the 30% US tariff hike creates new uncertainty for South African exports and disrupts global trade. Lamola has been announcing possible assistance for South African companies who are facing sweeping US tariffs. He briefed the media today after forming part of a delegation involved in trade negotiations to offset the impact. Washington